he picked the wrong family, and not scared of a conflict, and we're not scared. We're not running. We're coming at him.
Good morning. I hope you guys are doing well. It's Frankie. Welcome to the think tank. I'm sitting trying to look what moisture does to my hair. I look like a witch. Good morning, Shauna. So another day of this nut bar. Oh my God. The more we learn about this woman, the more I dislike her. There's nothing, what's the right word? Appealing about her. It doesn't matter if you're looking now or from when Gannon went missing, listening to all of these audios, you're getting a pretty good idea that this woman was like pretty much off the cliff. I don't know how a lot of people didn't notice this, because the way she was talking to her husband in some of those first phone calls blew me away. Killer headaches past couple days, allergies. Oh, yeah, that time of year, eh, friend? It has snowed here for the last 3 days. So it just stopped again. It's not sticking to the roads. The roads are warm enough that it's melting right away. But yeah, my dogs come in and they're like just massive wet puppies. So, oh my word. So what will we learn about Letecia today? I thought the WTF with her, I don't usually put those in my titles, but with her this time, I just thought, you know what? Like, this woman is WTF. Yeah, my dogs get pretty damn excited when a home day comes. They know the sound of that truck. And mom. And they know before I do. Let me get mom. The dogs need something. My babies need something. There you go. Okay, now stand down, girls. Oh yeah, she's like the worst. Nah, I mean, I've been looking at Lori Vallow too, so I just think put those two in a room and let them share their ideals and see what happens. Doesn't that what it sounds like? Mama, I haven't had one of those for so long. It's got to be 5 minutes. So yeah, she should come on in about 8 minutes. I've got the search on. World famous YouTuber. Did you hear that? What's that little witch's name? Bullfrog there. She called herself a world famous YouTuber. She went on. There's this girl that in Florida, I can't remember her name right now. She went missing, and JLR went and banged on the door, and they're like, no, we don't want to be talking to anybody. Well, as you know, he does what he wants. So they got upset, and they just basically said, listen, we appreciate what you're doing, but please don't come to the house. Don't approach the family or the friends. So what happens? And that's basically, it was that nice. So what happens? She gets on there and tells the world on her station. Oh my God. Like, who follows her? Anyways, she gets on there and says, what a great guy he is and all these ethics, and the same with Dolly, and she's a world famous YouTuber and she will not follow this case, and she'll make sure that all the content creators don't follow this case. Well, she was right rude about this family. And she's like, yeah, she's probably like drunk or high somewhere and blah, 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 blah. Not worth even looking for. Well, they just found her dead. They just found her dead. And this woman has been slamming her for how long? Oh my God. Honest, I hear their voices, I see their faces, and it's like instant rant. Just brutal. Mistreated my mama. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. This woman was found dead. So what, are these two knobs going to come back now and go, you know what? Oops. Oh my God. Seriously, I hope people don't get the mistaken idea that this is what we do, because this is not what most of us do. Most of us are really there for the families, for the missing or unalived person. That's who we're there for. We do not demand information. Don't start. We do not demand information because we're not law enforcement. We're just people with a platform, big or small. That's all we are. And none of us are better than the others. She was running this woman right down. She's like, she's this and she's that and she's this and she's that. And then she's like, but I don't think she's got a criminal record. And then it's like, okay, but you just listed 3 people who do, including yourself. It's like, what the hell? Yeah, morning rant. First thing I did when I went to see what kind of news was going on, looking for that stream, first thing I seen was JLR's ugly mug. So it was like, okay. Instant rant. Yeah, I wonder if they'll like actually apologize to the family. Like she's, oh, bad words, bad words, bad words. Let's see here. Oh, this Hawaiian cat loves surfing with his parents. This is a year ago. Still nothing for the stream. Another 5 minutes at least. So there's also Orrin and Orson West. There's another one. Oh, there's another one with, see, Bullfrog Betty. Orrin and Orson, their trial is being broadcast, but is not supposed to be streamed. We can go on there and we can learn and we can break it down, but we're not supposed to restream. So what does that knob do? She gets on there and she starts streaming it. She got called out and she basically said, well, you know, I have special permission. Well, no, she didn't. I hope she gets fined for this because she did this for clicks and views. I mean, it's just absolutely disgusting. Lori Vallow, what's been going on there? I didn't put out a video yesterday, probably one of the first days in I don't very often go without streaming or putting a video out. But yesterday, couldn't do it, friends. I just could not do it. World famous YouTuber, my ass. They're turning into, how would you put it? Infamous assholes. How come? What the hell? Are they streaming? Okay, that must have been, whew. Okay, I've got the, yeah. Oh my word. I just don't know how these people keep their platforms. That's all. I mean, I don't understand it. But whatever, whatever. It seems they do something and there's 10 people, well, not even 10, many, many, many more people that are out there going like, why do these guys have a platform? But not for me to worry about. Okay, guys, we do have some sound. There we go, Letecia.
Thank you. You may all be seated. Court will recall 20 CR 1358, People versus Letecia Stauch. Record should reflect the jury has returned to the courtroom. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Taking a minute here to make sure I have all of the right people, because I understand that there were two juries that sort of came in at the same time, and wanted to make sure everybody made it to the right place. All right. Again, I'm going to ask you the same question that I've asked you every day previously. Has anything occurred since we were last together that causes any of you to believe you could not continue to serve as a fair and impartial juror in this case? If so, please raise your hand. No response. All right. With that, when we took our break, we were in the midst of some telephone calls, I believe it was. And Mr. Allen, how do you wish to proceed at this point?
So we were in the middle of, just so the record is very clear,
Exhibit 57.
57 we finished. Actually, I think 58 we finished, Judge. And we had also at the same time, former Special Agent John Grusing on the stand.
Yes.
He's here, so we were just asking him to retake the stand.
Okay, Mr. Grusing, if you would retake your seat in the witness stand, I remind you, sir, that you're still under oath.
Good morning, Mr. Grusing.
Good morning.
So we've had an opportunity to listen to all of the phone calls. We've got still one more to go. How, in your experience, as you're working this particular case, are you using the information you're gathering from these phone calls to develop what you talked about on Wednesday, this pattern of behavior for this particular defendant, to inform you of how you're going to interview her eventually?
Yes, we were working as a team and talking with Al after each call to determine exactly what happened on that call. And then before we would make contact with Letecia the next day, we would compare what we learned that day to previous days to see maybe what our new strategy would be.
Did the strategy change, like you're describing, from phone call to phone call or from day to day sometimes?
Yes, and even in the middle of a phone call, it might change depending upon her answers.
I noticed in the, I think it was the last phone call, there was a change where you start using the word, or Al does at your direction, I think, start using the word murder as opposed to accident.
That's correct.
Why did that change happen?
It seemed to us that Letecia was not accepting that this was an accident, even though we kept on posing that through Al. And since she was rejecting that, we encouraged Al to see what she would react to if we said, well, possibly this was a murder and possibly you were responsible.
In that last call also, People's Exhibit 58, I want to ask you about third person. In your life experience, have you encountered people that have referred to themselves in a third person?
At times, yes.
Would that be both professionally and in just regular everyday life?
Yes, most of it was outside of the FBI, actually.
Can that be a hallmark of somebody that's self-absorbed?
It can be, yes.
Okay. Did you find Letecia Stauch during these phone calls and even during your interview with her that we're going to get to later this morning to also be self-absorbed?
Yes, almost every call was centered around her and how she was feeling instead of us trying to get her to focus on Gannon.
Okay. As it relates to those last two phone calls, 57 and 58, that we listened to on Wednesday afternoon, was there any other important information in those phone calls that you used to develop that pattern of behavior in your mind going forward? And obviously this is a very open-ended question, but I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to explain those issues.
When Al posed to her about possible injuries to Gannon when he was talking with her about murder. She removed Gannon from the conversation and said, "You're saying words like, 'Did I murder someone?' and 'Did I hit anyone over the head with a board?'" And she basically took Gannon out of the injuries that Al was accusing her of doing. We were trained to look for gaps in a story, like hours missing in a day, as well as illogical use of pronouns, and that jumped out at me
Why does that jump out at you?
because it was very personal what they were discussing of Gannon. And then when she's describing the possible that she would be responsible for hitting him in the head with a board or possibly murdering him, she takes Gannon out of the conversation.
Okay. So basically depersonifying Gannon?
Correct.
Okay. This next phone call is the last one that we've admitted. It's People's Exhibit 59. It comes from February 21st, 1:44 p.m. It's 29 minutes long. At this point, Judge, I'd like to go ahead and publish that. It was previously admitted during Mr. Stauch's testimony. And then when this particular phone call is done, we'll bring Mr. Grusing back up.
All right, Grusing, you can go ahead and step down.
Hello?
Okay.
So, hey, you said there was an emergency that you need to talk about?
Yes, okay, because I sent you the message about stopping searching and I said, are you ready to work together with me? Yes, I sent that to you.
Okay, so what is it?
What do you mean, what is it? I'm telling you. Oh my God, I don't know how to clear to say this. Do you believe me now that I didn't do anything wrong?
I mean, I'm just trying to get, you made it seem like there was some urgent news that you had to tell me, and this is.
And I sent you the link you were talking about with the landfill. That was old.
Oh, so there wasn't really anything urgent and pressing that would help me find Gannon?
I'm asking you, are you ready to work together with your wife to do it?
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm going off your list. Number one, Gannon. So let's focus on that. Okay.
So you read my list. Why are people sending this about lies about airports and all this? And so
I don't know.
you can't have a straight goal in common.
I don't know. I don't care about social media. Never have. Who cares what people are saying? I rode with my mom to the airport.
Okay, where are you?
Where am I? I
Yes.
told you I just stepped out of work on lunch break.
Like, as in the node?
No, as in the headquarters.
Okay. Are you gonna be like able to like stay with your wife so we can work on this together?
I'm not making any promises.
I need to know like now, like starting tomorrow.
Well, you're not even here. If you're telling me starting tomorrow,
With the dogs. I can't fly the dogs.
well, how did the dogs get to where you're at if they couldn't fly?
I'm in a car with friends. That's all I've been doing. The dogs can't get on that airplane.
What friends?
Only thing I'm saying, and they may share us with different people, some adjacent people to me that works with Harley. We stayed at their house.
Okay.
We've just been staying everywhere. The dogs cannot get on an airplane.
Okay, fair enough. But I want to get back to Gannon.
I want you to tell me you're going to work together with me.
That's not a priority.
Be together so we can burn down everything, figure this out, get a plan in place.
But why is the safety of a child contingent upon anything other than finding him?
I can't help you if we're not together.
Yes, you can.
Fine. I can't do any of that together. The safety of a child is work together. Because we have to write it down 10 freaking times and work through it. That's the safety. I beg for this.
But I still don't understand how you helping me with Gannon is contingent upon anything else.
Contingent. I am your wife. Did you file for divorce? Did you?
I didn't hear what you said. What?
Did you file for divorce?
I told you that already. No. Do you want me to?
No. Are you cheating on me?
Am I cheating on you? No, listen, we need to focus on Gannon, okay? You told me you had
Some big plan.
no, it's not. Yeah, it is. You're right. It's a big plan to find my son. Absolutely. Okay, so listen to me. You made this like you always do in these scenarios. You made it seem like we could fix this immediately. You got some big piece of information. Listen.
Listen to me and be open-minded in order to. And with that comes you taking my side in order for it to even be working. Because if you go against me, you poke me, you be whatever, you try to do whatever, all these things, we can't get to what you need.
Okay, so that's what I wanted you to say because you just told me that finding Gannon is contingent upon what you getting what you want. Yeah, you said if I don't buck you or don't be with you and don't sleep with you, yeah, that's what you said in essence is that if I don't give you what you want, we don't find Gannon. So listen, but hold on, listen, I'm going back in now. I thought you had some emergency.
Number one, okay?
If you tell me information I need to know on Gannon, like who took Gannon or what happened to Gannon, then we talk about this other 7 parts of your list, okay? But number one,
This is
nothing
insane.
happens for anybody in the rest of my life, period, until I get information about Gannon or find him. I thought you didn't have a car. Sounds like a car to me. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right, number one, I need you to tell me that you have confidence and believe in me, okay?
Number 1 on the list is Gannon, so. Okay, I believe in you and have confidence in you that you'll tell me the truth.
All right. Number one, find again. All right, so why come
Can you guys hear okay?
any kind of like locations, searches, anything outside of only the most concerning thing to you is that the first thing that has to be done. Okay, so tell me why that's not happening.
That's a
Oh
question you
my
need to ask the law
God.
enforcement, not me.
Yeah, I'm not hearing well either. I'll crank mine up.
Because I mean, you called me to ask
It is
about
cranked
this
up.
landfill that was false.
Oh.
Messing around with your hand in the dick, but you
Hmm.
your guidelines have this several times.
I'm sure. Yes, I've asked them this. Why are you searching there? Well, we can't tell you anything.
Okay, so then here. Okay, next question.
Sorry, guys. Hopefully they crank it up.
Acres upon acres upon acres when I didn't even go to those acres.
She doesn't even she deflects every question.
If none of those things, he was none of the places that I went, does that not make you open up your eyes and say that I'm not involved, someone else is?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like back to your first question. I believe in you, okay? But I believe you know that someone else involved and you know who. That's what I want. Okay. So, but see, then you keep sending me messages, emergency, we can fix this right now, but then you never tell me anything.
Number two, that's the second thing. We know that.
Why is she putting down the ground rules? Number one. Number two.
Why come when I gave them the information that I gave them, why did they
Headphones, yeah, for sure.
Why did they not believe it? Why?
What information about Quincy Brown?
Yeah, if you guys have headphones, sometimes you can hear better.
No, I did not.
What information?
Okay, you just said they don't tell you anything, right? That's what you're saying.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
So, which means they would have gotten information from me.
Okay, so what information was it?
That I told them they have not covered any areas
Okay, but what information are you talking about? Why won't you give me that information? I'm the father of the missing child, Tisha.
But I've already told you one time, and when I told you, it wasn't good enough.
Well, tell me again. Tell me right now. I'm in believe Tisha mode.
Okay, how long do you have?
She doesn't,
Like
Shauna.
5 to 7 minutes. Honestly, I gotta get back in.
5 to 7 minutes.
Well, what do you need? Tell me what you need. An hour? 10
Good
minutes?
God, this woman.
Are you on lunch? I mean, I'm not trying to mess you up at work.
No, I'm working like 4-hour days. So I mean, I come out because I told you I'd come out around this time. Okay, but I got another hour or some of work, and then I'm leaving for the day. Because they're just trying, like I told you this morning, they're trying to phase me back in. So I don't want to be out here for 20, 30 minutes.
Okay, so then what time can you sit down and talk with just you, not with you and all your other clan?
Right now.
So you got 30 minutes to give me right now.
Listen, I'll make up some bullshit when I go back in there, but yeah, I'll give you 30 minutes right now. Walk me through it.
If only she would, eh?
I need you to answer this question. Why? How many of the videos, so it can all make sense, you had to start other than one video?
Listen, this is not Albert answers a bunch of questions.
No doubt.
No, you tell me what I'm missing or haven't seen. That's what this is about. This is not you.
Have you seen a video of anyone pulling into our yard after 4 o'clock?
Have I seen a video?
Huh.
Did you see this?
Have I seen any video of that? I'm not sitting here answering questions, okay? I haven't seen other than what's been released. I haven't seen what's other than been released to the public. I'm not sitting here getting questioned. You said you had a story to tell me about this.
Didn't say I had a story.
Okay.
Helping you.
Okay, well, help me. Don't. Okay, I'm listening.
Oh, he's got
Did you see
patience.
any other videos?
I'm listening. I'm not being questioned. Okay.
Right.
Tell me what I'm missing in the video. Just tell me. Don't ask me. Tell me.
The video when Harley comes home and Lena, I'm sure you had to see this. Just tell me where Harley parked her car.
I have no clue, Tisha. Tell me what you're trying to tell me. Now you're getting me upset.
You haven't seen this.
No, I have not seen anything. I told you that. I've seen what is on the internet on the video about the truck. That's it.
Okay. So can you wait by your phone for 5 minutes?
You said 30 minutes, and just if you got something.
But I need you to wait by your phone for 5 minutes because I have this girl's kids in here.
Yeah, what?
Her kids are in her car. I drove to get some food. I have her kids in here. So I just need 5 minutes to pull up in the yard for the kids to get out.
She's saying she was talking with kids in the car like this.
What does that keep you from sending a video?
It's not sending the video. I don't want to talk about it with kids around. They can hear me. I'm asking you for 5 minutes.
And yet she has
Give me
been
5 minutes.
this whole time.
Pull in the yard and they get out.
Just tell me what you got to tell me. There's no kids in the car. I don't hear a peep, okay?
There is a kid in the car.
Listen, I knew either you tell me now or I'm just going to put the phone down and go back into work, okay? Because I don't got time to sit here. You jerk me around. I'm tired of you jerking me around.
Literally almost to the street.
Listen, I don't have 5 minutes. I got the 30 minutes you asked for. I got that. You start telling me whatever it is you got to tell me. Who cares if a kid's in the car? That should be a good thing that you know information that can help you find the missing kid. I'm sure they've heard about it.
I don't know if they did. They might have not have.
Well,
I'm turning on her street. Just hold on.
yeah, okay.
Brutal.
I'm literally turning on her street.
I'm not questioning you. I'm in believe Tisha mode. I'm just waiting for some facts that I can believe.
Turning on.
Believe
her street.
Tisha mode.
I believe you.
Like I'm passing the church right now,
What church?
Oh, God.
and then I'm going on to this.
Oh, my God.
All right.
The church. I guess their church. I don't know if they go to church there. I don't know.
Oh, you passed by.
Oh,
but
my
there's no sign.
God.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, there was a sign. I'm looking at the road, so I can
Okay.
make sure it's the church.
All right. Hey, I believe you.
But I know my way around.
I believe you. I'm
Damn.
not trying to question you. I just want to know if I knew the church or the pastor.
I'm literally turning in right now. And all I gotta do is pull over here. Can you go inside with your mom and then I'll just, yeah, and I'll be in a minute to let it go. Hold on. All right, give me 1 minute.
So, yeah, okay. You there? Keisha? Yep, I'm here.
Let's stay here. And then I'll get the dogs and I get back and we just go. And then we can try to do more. Literally, the door, she's getting out. Make sure you do that stuff for your mom. All right. Where did you put mine at? Right there. Thank you. See you in a little bit. Sorry, her daughter is like of age. Anyway, all right. What behind all that is telling you is, I need you to believe, Albert. I need you to believe that someone did take in. I need you to believe that I've already given the police department the description. I've already did that. I need you to quit thinking that it's somebody just made up, because it's not. Obviously, I didn't do it. There's no way possible that I could have been hours and hours away in a certain window. I need you to help them re-look at that. I'm telling you, Anna would have left our neighborhood anywhere between that time frame, and it wouldn't even be surprised if it weren't like the kid in North Carolina.
What certain window are you talking about?
The certain window I'm talking about, between 3 and anywhere that evening, because here's why. There was a lot of people out and about in the neighborhood. Everywhere.
So you weren't home during that certain window? Is that what you said?
Do what?
You said you weren't home during that certain window, or he could have left in that certain window?
I'm saying that's when it happened. So by the time I called, okay, Anna still could have been in the neighborhood.
But you said when it happened. What is it, Tisha?
I told you already. You haven't looked at it to see. Okay, go to the ring. See, we went out the front door. When we left, we went out the front door. Okay? When we left, I set the alarm. I went out the front door. I came back in the front door. Made sure the alarm was set. Went out the garage. You could see that on the ring. When I came out, I think it was like 10:07, 10:08-ish, maybe. We left out. We were in the garage.
Okay.
There was no more, at that time, there was no more anybody going in and out. And the dogs do not set off the motion in the house.
Right.
They don't. Okay?
Not when they're in their crates. You're right.
Yeah, not within their crates. And as sure as heck, if I'm somewhere upstairs, they're with me. They're not just roaming around doing a thing. They're following somebody that they look. Okay? When we came back, I told you 15,000 times about the car following us at Petco. The reason I left the phone at Petco, you want to know why? Why don't y'all go check the alarm on it? I set an alarm for it to go off if I hadn't came back in the time frame to call the police. I set the alarm on there, Albert. There was no intention. I had my watch on, so there was no hiding where I was going or whatever.
But wait. So you set an alarm to call the police? Why?
No, not because someone was following us
From the house or from Petco?
from the house
Okay.
to Petco.
Okay.
Then from Petco, that's why I kept walking to the door to look, because Gannon was laying down. He was playing the Switch, so I knew that they knew nobody was in the car. That's what they thought. Maybe I was being suspicious.
Well, so help me out here, because I'm in believe teacher mode. So okay, just so you know that. But somebody's following you from the house, and you leave Gannon in the truck.
They never knew anybody was in the truck.
But if they followed you from the house, didn't they see y'all get into the truck?
I was not like from the house as in our house, like as in not the area that.
All right. Well, okay. All right. Help me be in believe teacher mode. Okay. All right. Don't start spinning. Just tell me.
I'm spinning.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to.
You go through the whole entire thing.
Okay. I'm. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So I sit there. I was playing with these period pad things because apparently dogs have periods. Okay. So I'm holding the thing, and I sat there and I said alarm, just for the alarm to go off. Like whatever. That was for the alarm to go off. Maybe I was being too superstitious. I just was being whatever. I don't know. Okay.
Sorry.
And now you're yawning?
Listen, I don't sleep good at night. I haven't for years, you know that. So go ahead.
Albert, I was supposed to deliver papers.
Deliver.
So I couldn't do it, Albert.
Deliver papers for what? Tisha?
When I went to Nevada, there was this pregnant lady.
Holy crap. Another story.
Because she was really, really pregnant. She gets in the car, which is why Gannon was not in the front seat. He was in the back seat.
You said wait. You said when you went to Nevada?
Went through Nevada.
Oh. I'm like, what? You're in Nevada? Anyways, go ahead.
Right. When I realized she's not pregnant.
Oh my
when she gets in
God.
the car.
No wonder she's like
that was following you?
counting
I don't know if they were
micros
following
on the
us.
table.
I just know there was a car following us. When I get off, I turn where Harley gets the eyelashes done because I thought I would lose them. Then I saw a pregnant lady. She looked legit like 8 months pregnant.
Cousin it. There we go again.
What car was following you? Because maybe they
told you this 15 times.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God, woman.
Blue something. Like a blue little car, like a Cooper or something like this.
Hide behind your hair.
Just a blue one.
No, it was the red earlier in the day was nothing. It's already been checked out.
Okay. All right.
The reason I know that was been checked out because I had somebody in Lorson Ranch do it.
What?
I'm just making sure. I make sure I keep these cars straight. So it was the blue one, not the red one.
See,
No, don't get upset. Don't get upset.
Unreal.
I'm just trying to get it straight. I'm not picking holes in your story. I'm just making
She's
sure
looking for
on the blue car,
any reason to
now
not
back to the
continue
pregnant
with
lady
her
that gets in the
bullshit
front seat.
story.
So the pregnant lady gets in the front seat, but she's not really pregnant. I don't know that she's not really pregnant, but she says she just needs to ride.
What?
She looked really, really pregnant, like 8 months.
Agreed.
I said, I'm just listening.
You know what? I'm not going to help if you're going to do this to me.
Listening and believing?
I really came in this to be honest with you.
Okay, and I'm just listening.
No, you aren't. You're being a dick by saying, That's being a dick to me.
I don't know
Whoa.
why you're saying that, but does the pregnant lady know what happened to G? Does she know where Gannon went?
Can I finish?
Yeah, absolutely.
She wasn't really pregnant. she had about, I don't even know how much money inside of this thing that makes her look pregnant.
Oh my God.
So you know where my mind immediately goes?
Where?
What would you think a pregnant person disguising as pregnant but money in her belly means?
Probably robbed a bank.
Okay, she might have.
Or,
She could be involved in something crazy, right?
yeah. I would be scared of myself, even if it was a woman.
Yeah, because that's pretty scary, right? You're making fun of this like it's...
No, I'm not. If somebody got in my truck with a pregnant belly full of cash, I'd be worried to death. You're right.
So what happened to Eduardo? Oh, silent treatment. She does. She looks for absolutely anything to not carry on with her story.
I don't know how else to help other than to know we were in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Okay. Are you talking about Petco?
Yes, because Petco, I just was supposed to walk in Petco, look around, be normal, go drop this lady off somewhere.
Oh, so she told you to walk into Petco?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
She forced me.
Of course, I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Did she have a weapon, like a gun or a knife or something that, like, to threaten you or what?
How do you think someone would force you? You're sensitive.
No, you're a tough girl, so I'm just gonna take a lot. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, if somebody,
Tough girl.
yeah, I don't think you'd be scared easy by somebody like that. So that's just what I'm saying. You probably start swinging unless she had a gun or a knife or something.
This is a joke to you.
No, I'm serious. I'm trying to.
You finally are getting like legit, and it's a joke to you.
I'm sorry you think that, but go ahead.
I'm not. Forget it, man. You're not wanting to stand by my side. You don't want to help.
I'm right here standing by your side, listening to the truth. Okay, I'm in belief teacher mode, like I told you.
Yeah, and then what you're gonna do? Tell me I'm telling a lie and hang up?
Are you telling a lie?
No, that's what you're gonna do. You're not gonna believe it. I told you it was beyond your wildest imagination to know he was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
He was in the wrong place, or y'all were in the wrong place? Okay, we was in the wrong place. Okay, all right. I mean, are you telling me this? I don't know. You want me to believe you, but I feel like you're just telling me something to make me feel better about Gannon missing. Okay, so because it was kind of like the Quincy Brown thing. I mean, now it's a pregnant lady with cash in her belly. Okay, I believe you. What's next? What happened next?
Now you're making silly.
No, I'm trying to make sense of all of it. Okay, you want me to believe you? I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. Tell me the rest of the story.
Albert, to sum it up, it's just being caught up in the wrong place at the wrong time with people who are money laundering, wanting me or whoever they can get to deliver paper to these Mexican restaurants, and you're supposed to get packages back from them. And I would.
Where the hell is this story coming from?
On County Line Road because I was scared to death.
Oh my God, this woman. Holy.
So I was going
Like,
round and round to make sure that no car followed me.
hiding behind her hair.
So is that where they were trying to send you, or you just went there because you knew that was out in the boonies?
Got a picture of Lori Vallow standing with Letecia.
Oh, so you did that one time. Okay, cool.
It's nothing to do with whatever. They've already searched the entire area. I'm innocent.
I'm innocent.
That's who has Gannon, okay?
The pregnant lady with the cash?
No, whoever has proof, because I've already given it to the Mexican guy. Why do you think I told you that about the Quincy thing? Because the whole Mexico. We need to be looking.
Uh-oh, now we got a Mexican guy. So we got a Mexican guy. We have a Guardo. We have a pregnant woman with cash in her belly. And we have Quincy Brown.
His family told your news reporter
What?
that he's in Mexico. Okay, you didn't know that beforehand. And of course, you have nothing to say about that. I'll talk to you later.
Mr. Grusing, if you would, I assume that's who you want. Right?
Yes.
Mr. Grusing, if you would resume your seat in the witness stand, and remind you, sir, that you're still under oath. Brown.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Grusing, we talked about just prior to you, us actually listening to that last phone call about Letecia being very focused on herself as opposed to finding Gannon. Did there seem to be a focus on, from her standpoint, on making sure she was going to stay with Al?
Yes.
What's the significance of that in your mind as an investigator?
She wanted finding Gannon to be contingent upon Al coming back into the marriage with her.
Was it fairly consistent that she would precondition giving information on Mr. Stauch promising to stay with her?
Yes.
Did that help with your building pattern of behavior preparing for her interview?
It did.
Does that also give her a way to calculate the flow of information that law enforcement got?
She was, yes.
In what way?
Well, and Al was doing a good job of deflecting questions. She was probing for what he knew, what he had seen. And as Al and our team knew from now, whatever facts we would give her would shift her story to meet those.
Along those lines, was it clear based on these phone calls that she was very closely following the advancement of the investigation?
Yes.
And would she appear to, from your perspective, use the information that she would get from following the investigation and then explain away things that might be found in different areas?
She would. And because it was only her and Gannon together, it's only her story that mattered.
Did that appear to be an effort to manipulate the investigation?
Yes,
Is that a calculated move on her part?
it was.
There was that one section in that last phone call where she is expressing concern with areas of searches. Is that showing that indication that she's following the investigation from afar?
Yes, you're right.
Was she still at this particular point trying to imply that she was in the Colorado Springs area?
Yes.
Did you know specifically where she was at this particular time?
Yes, we knew she was in South Carolina.
Look at
Talking
her.
about her efforts to manipulate
Unreal.
the investigation. Did she point throughout all of these phone calls at random?
She's
unknown
freaking bizarre.
persons?
It's hard to say random. It seemed to be somewhat calculated.
Random.
She
from
really
your
is.
perspective as an investigator, calculated from her perspective. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes.
Okay. So we have Eduardo, right?
Eduardo, yes.
The information that she gave about
Pregnant lady.
identifying Eduardo. So any identifying
With money in
features,
her
do you
belly.
remember that, right?
No baby.
I don't.
Okay. If it was basically a 5'8", thinner Hispanic male with pockmarked face,
Quincy Brown.
is that a very detailed or not very detailed description
I
of
just-
somebody?
I don't know.
No,
I can't
think
keep
you have
up.
extensive interaction with him, which she told us in her story that she did. That was prior to me coming on, so I was reviewing that information.
Okay. And then
I
she
cannot
went
believe
further
she's
to
sitting there
say,
hiding behind her freaking hair like this. I have never seen such a thing.
Correct.
Yeah,
and
counting
then
molecules
developing
on the
into
table.
Quincy Brown.
I believe next she went to Uncle Matt.
I was going to get to Uncle Matt here. in just a second.
Hello, Bruja.
Do you remember as it develops into the Quincy Brown story?
I do.
Did that coincide with the same time that most.
Hope
relevant
everything's
crime
okay,
notice
friend.
Was issued for Quincy Brown in Colorado Springs media.
Yes.
And then you mentioned Uncle Matt. Did she give any identifying features for an Uncle Matt?
She did not. She laid the blame for Uncle Matt at Gannon, saying this was Gannon had been talking about Uncle Matt prior to Gannon's disappearance, and then Gannon was jumping on Uncle Matt, and then Gannon disappeared because of Uncle Matt.
Right. Yeah, there's that one. I mean, how do we keep
There's
up?
that one portion of time where
Brutal.
she's at least relaying the idea that she's driving in a car with some other kid in this last phone call that we just listened to.
Yes.
Could you hear any noises from that side of the phone call that indicated a kid was in the car? Did you hear any doors open or close like she was indicating she just dropped a kid?
Oh, that'll do it.
There's also reference by her about driving past a church. You remember that portion?
Yes.
And Al actually presses her and says, what's the name of the church?
Correct.
I didn't hear, did she give a name of that church?
Couldn't hear her give a name. At least I didn't.
There was an interesting quote that she made in that particular call, and it was, I need you to believe someone took Gannon. What's the significance of that type of a statement from the defendant?
Well, she was, again, the last one with him, and she's now tried 4 or 5 someones, and now she's not giving us an identification of this pregnant lady. We were not scripting Al to yawn or do those things during this one, but it was obvious that this was not going to lead us anywhere closer to Gannon. So with her not giving us a name or anything to follow up on, we were fine with Al just reacting naturally to this news story.
Okay. The leading up to the pregnant lady with some sort of a money pregnancy thing, was there any indication that somebody followed her from the home area, Lorson Ranch, to Petco?
There was not.
Were you aware that she actually made 2 Petco visits on January 27th that were basically 2 hours apart on that day?
Yes.
Was there any indication through the investigation that someone was forcing her to go into Petco?
There was not.
I can't get it
As relates to
any
this,
higher.
pregnant
Yeah,
lady
it's the
with
court.
money thing, did she ever give any detailed information
Earphones
about, description of
or
this
headphones, I
particular
guess.
Dominican or
Earphones.
Macro Dollar?
Headphones help a little bit.
She mentioned money laundering in Mexican restaurants. Curious your thoughts on that angle of it, that there's a description of Eduardo being a slim Hispanic guy. Then she changes it to a black guy or a Mexican guy, and now we're back to Mexican money laundering clans. Thoughts on that from your perspective as an investigator?
She goes back and forth whether it's someone involved in the criminal element must be responsible for someone like this, or
I
Gannon
can't.
is responsible
How close
for
do you think her face is to
accidents.
that desk?
So she's ascribing criminal behavior to most of the people that would have inflicted injuries on him or taken him.
Okay. And as it relates to blaming others, does she consistently almost try to shift blame onto Gannon?
She does.
In what ways?
It's accidental. Well, she did it at the very first by saying he just left, ran away. But then throughout, she will say that he was involved in an accident, or he stepped on something, or he hit his head, or he busted his lip. Those sorts of injuries that he's causing to himself.
As it relates to those descriptions of various injuries, does that also include the bleeding from the rectum?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah, she
in
is so
those
gross.
Descriptions,
Oh
was she
my
also giving
God.
information that somebody with knowledge of those injuries would have the actual injuries that Gannon suffered?
Correct.
Was that significant to you at all?
It was, and I believe it was on the 13th, the very first phone call we had. It's the first time that she mentioned Quincy Brown, or the most egregious injuries she ascribed to him, and that was the bleeding from the head, the hands, and the knees, and then blood pouring from his face. So she was describing, things, and as we were going, we were trying to how can we use that to help find Gannon? But then she would shift later and say, whether it was the burns or the face, that those injuries were not as significant. So we were just back and forth. But throughout, if you look at the whole picture of these 10, 12 calls, she was describing a significant amount of injuries to him.
As we listen to all of these calls, and I think we've actually admitted 16 separate phone calls into evidence in this case, were there actually even more than that were conducted that were not admitted in this trial?
Yes, I believe so.
How did you use the information that you gathered in those particular phone calls that you participated in? How are you using that to build the pattern of behavior for this specific defendant?
Well, our primary goal was to find Gannon at this point in the investigation. And information was coming in daily. We had a whole timeline across their break conference room that we would add new data to each day. So even with the story about the pregnant lady and the blue car and whatever else we're trying to compare, it will something new give us a clue to where Gannon is. And then secondly, we're looking at building a case against Letecia and working towards an arrest and an interview.
Okay. So let's jump into that. When was the defendant ultimately arrested?
March 2nd, 2020.
What were circumstances that led to that arrest as it relates to your involvement?
So the sheriff's office and the FBI agents that were assigned the case in Colorado Springs had drafted an affidavit that a judge had signed off on. And our team had been communicating with law enforcement in South Carolina to arrange an arrest and possible interview of her if she was willing to afterwards.
Did you in fact travel from Colorado to South Carolina to be participating in that?
Yes.
Was that on March 2nd exactly?
Yes, it was.
Describe for the jury how were you there when she was taken into custody?
I was.
Describe that for the jury.
I was on the very periphery, wasn't close, but it was in a mall parking lot, I believe, and local law enforcement did the arrest. I did come up and introduce myself to Letecia and told her I was with the FBI in Denver and I would like to speak with her, that we were going to take her to a law enforcement facility.
Did you in fact then have her transported to that law enforcement facility?
Yes,
Was that at the Myrtle Beach Police Department?
it was.
Did you interview her there?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach with People's Exhibit 354?
May.
You recognize this exhibit?
I do.
How do you recognize it?
That's the DVD of the recording of the interview I had with Letecia. I have initialed it and dated it.
Is it a fair and accurate copy of that interview that you conducted on March 2nd of the defendant?
Yes.
This time I move for admission of People's Exhibit 354.
Yes.
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit 354 will be admitted. Go ahead.
Do you know roughly how long this particular interview is?
Approximately 5 hours.
And let's go over, is there an initial phase of an interview where you maybe are building rapport with somebody?
Yes, letting whoever I'm speaking to understand the purpose of the interview, explaining why I am there. And then because Letecia was not free to leave, I advised her of her rights pursuant to Miranda.
Is it typical to do the advisement of rights under Miranda when somebody's in custody?
Yes.
What's the purpose of that?
To let her know that she doesn't have to talk to me if she doesn't want to. She can have an attorney present. She's free to leave at any time.
Is this something that you just talk to somebody about? Or is there a form that you?
There's a form that I go through.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you actually have them sign the form?
Yes,
Did you do that with this defendant?
I did.
Do you know what name she used to sign that form?
I don't remember. I'm guessing it's Letecia Stauch.
Does it say Tisha Stauch on it?
That sounds right.
Okay. Did she indicate that she understood her rights?
She did.
Did she even go further than that in trying to put conditions on a specific right as it relates to attorney?
Yes,
Okay. Did that indicate that to you from your perspective that she appeared to understand those rights and could contemplate them and potentially even try to put additional conditions on them?
correct.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to start publishing, and what I intend to do with People's Exhibit 354 is just keep Mr. Grucy on the stand, play portions based on questions that I'm asking. Obviously, the whole interview is in evidence, Judge.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, you're, yeah. Try to, if you can pull that chair back a little bit. Oh, we are gonna record this.
And Judge, I'm wondering if we can check with the jurors to see, this one's a little quieter than the other recorded phone calls, if they can hear this okay.
The other thing is, it sounds as though your plan is to play part of this and then stop it and ask questions during part of it. Is
That's
that
right. Yeah,
correct?
I'll do this throughout, Judge.
Okay, I think for the purposes of the record to remain clear, you just need to identify the timestamp where you're stopping.
Yeah, I will. Yep.
About as loud as I can make it.
Okay, let's see.
Protection.
Can you all hear it okay?
So Letecia and John Grusing with the FBI met you in the mall parking lot. Do you know why you're here? Did they inform you, the officers, of why you're under arrest?
I'm under arrest
Yes,
for what?
for Gannon stops. A warrant was issued out of Colorado.
Okay, but no, someone could have just called me. They've seen I would.
Yeah, and apologize for that. Because of the nature of the warrant, it being a murder warrant, there's, and that's what I'd like to talk with you about today. That's why we're not having a cast of thousands here and whatever, is we would like to get to the bottom of what happened there. I know that a lot of things have gone on with your life, a little bit of how this turns out. Okay, but because you were arrested, you're not free to leave. I need you to sign an advice of rights before we can talk.
Well, I mean, so I'm getting charged with what now?
So you were charged in, the judge in Colorado Springs signed off. So the way this case worked was El Paso County got the original case. They didn't have enough manpower to work it.
Okay.
So they called the FBI.
Right.
Part of for the FBI, an extension of the profiling unit, and I came in and assisted. And I've been helping for about the last 3 weeks.
Okay.
So our evidence response team, you've probably seen that on the news, we've been doing some searches, et cetera.
Anyone with earbuds or headphones, probably the best way to listen to this right now because it's super, super low.
And we found enough, you call it probable cause,
Okay.
for a warrant to be issued. So that's why you're here today.
Okay, warrant for what though?
It was for the murder.
What
of
murder?
Gannon Stauch.
So Gannon is murdered.
That's what the evidence shows.
Okay.
And I'm happy to share with you evidence, but we can't have a conversation unless you're advised of your rights.
Okay, what am I right?
So this is an advice of rights form. I'll fill it out at the top. And you don't have to answer any question.
Oh, I am.
Okay, so I'm not going to force you to answer anything. If you want this interview to be done, it's done. So we're in. Second. So I'd like you to initial these as we go through them. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in court. You have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before we ask you any questions. You have the right to have a lawyer with you during questioning. If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be appointed for you before questioning if you wish. And if you decide to answer questions without a lawyer present, you have the right to stop answering at any time. I'm not going to force you to say anything.
Okay, so I had already had reached an attorney, but all the information.
So it's up to you. I'm not going to force you to say.
I mean,
if you don't
I
want to,
can talk to you, but I mean, the last time I asked for an attorney talking to them, I wasn't allowed that after I asked.
that's not how this is going to go. This would be
And I
a
believe you have more
conversation.
integrity being FBI that you would do that.
I've got a family to protect,
Okay,
so I'm not
so
going to violate any
You
law.
don't mind doing that at all.
If
But
you-
if at any point I would like to call my attorney if
Yes,
I felt
ma'am.
like, is that okay?
That is okay.
Okay, so can I write that in somewhere or?
Well, that's this one right here. If you decide to answer any questions without a lawyer present, you have the right to stop at any
Okay.
time. So, and if you need food, water, whatever else,
I
this
don't.
is not, we're not going to have people with guns standing outside trying to
I don't.
intimidate you. I want this to be your statements and
Okay.
our conversation. So I was thinking of a lot of things to say to you today because I've been helping, I've been involved.
Mhm.
I've unfortunately worked a lot of missing kid
Mhm.
cases. That's why they called me to do this.
Okay.
A lot of time with Mark, who was the dad. Dylan, who actually was in Colorado Springs with mom,
Mm-hmm.
went to go see dad. This was in November of 2012.
Right.
And then he disappeared. It's a lot like what happened here. What I think happened with Mark is friends, and Mark wouldn't let him go.
Okay.
And I think Mark got upset. I think Dylan did some things that irritated Mark. I think there was just a punch in the face
Right.
sort of thing.
Right.
You know, things went downhill from there.
Well,
And I'm not saying
I
that's
just
what
want to
happened
say
with
to you,
you.
I can help you because what you're charging me with is not, or whoever, is not the case.
Okay.
Gannon is alive. Okay, and I can help you.
Okay, great.
But see, here's the problem. When I reached out to people about getting help, I said, hey, I need someone who's going to help me to help you guys. I couldn't get that from anyone at all.
We're happy to help you.
Okay, so I understand you might say you have whatever evidence that you might say you have, but that's not a case. It did not hurt my child. Okay, need more assistance besides the FBI. You're probably going to need some CBA. Probably need a lot of help.
I'm happy to get whatever help.
Okay.
How do you know?
But
the
I
lives of
can't
people?
help you unless people are willing to help me. And I did offer every opportunity to sit down and talk with not only my husband, but with Landon to try to come up with the best plan. I really did. And I've been begging every single day, please, please, please don't say this. Okay. I know you're expert in your field. Okay. I know you may say you have whatever evidence you have, but it's just not true. Okay. Not.
It's not true that Gannon's dead.
I'm not going to sit here and say 100%. I can tell you that there's really things that wouldn't have occurred that I can help you guys with to know that. And it leads back to some things just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's the truth.
Okay.
That is the very truth. And every day that went by, I had to do nothing but not only protect myself, but protect my family in this, protect other people in this. And that's just what it's been.
So I think our biggest problem is what happened at the house then.
At the house?
Yes.
Well, there's nothing that would have happened at the house that has anything to do with what I'm talking about at all. That has nothing to do with anything. Because you guys have clearly put out this information about Gannon not coming home and then this and that and the other. And I get, like I said, you're experts. People with forensics are experts. but it's just not the truth. It's not the truth. And until I know that I got to get help from some people other than someone just having me in a room.
You've got to get help to do that.
I got to get help to give everyone what they need because I'm going to need my mom protected, okay, then brother, sister protected, and most importantly, I'm going to need Harley protected. And on that same note, I'm also going to need other people in Colorado protected. And see, people say FBI can offer that protection.
You can.
How?
If it involves
does
an
it
11-year-old,
mean-
if it involves finding an 11-year-old, then we can.
And it means that we can have new identities.
It does. Yeah, I've had to do that before. We call it an informant, but we can do it for. We can
How
do
do
it
I know
for the
the
general public. Who else would you trust?
I don't know, like, sir, I don't know. There's nothing that happened at any house, nothing that happened at any house that would have hurt, harmed, murdered, done anything to anyone. Okay, wrong place, wrong time.
You were in the wrong place, or Gannon was?
I was.
What about Gannon?
We all were in the wrong place. Even my family was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Even Lena, even Harley. Okay, with all of us in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I
So-
swear to you on that.
So
But I gotta get
just like
help.
you have trust issues, let me tell you where I am. So
Okay.
from with the FBI, when a child goes missing, if they're underage,
Right.
then we can get involved, and it can be even a kidnapping. So if Gannon is moved from one point to another without his, will, then it's a child kidnapping.
Right.
And so that's what we're working with as. And with me as a federal employee,
Mhm.
with me working a federal case, because right now it's filed with the district attorney,
Right.
but the U.S. attorney could file it as well.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
What do you mean?
The U.S.
Gonna get-
attorney is the federal
Okay.
prosecutors.
Gotcha.
Right now, it's on the state. When you're talking to me, we are recording this for your integrity in mind.
Right.
But if you'd rather not say something, I mean, if I would rather you just say, I don't want to answer it, instead of telling me something that's not true.
Okay.
Because there's something called false statements, which is it's U.S. Code 1001, to where if you lie to us during an investigation, that can be a year of prison time.
Right.
So that's why I said on this last one, if you want to not answer a question, I'm not going to push you.
Okay.
Okay. So with these people, taking Gannon or whatever else, if it's not true, just say I'd rather not answer that. Okay, because we're different than your local detectives and whatever else. It's not a felony to lie to them.
Okay.
Okay. So my goal though is to find Gannon.
Right.
And if you need protection, if there truly is someone out there, we
Mhm.
can provide that.
That's not me lying.
Happen though, I will need you to explain what happened from that night,
Which night?
the night that he disappeared.
So I've stopped it at 12 minutes, Judge. Just as a pause. In the beginning portion of that, Mr. Grusing, when you're advising her that she's been charged with murder, it appears that she acts like she's confused. What was your impression of that?
Yeah, so eventually she asked me, so Gannon's been murdered, but yeah, she appeared to be confused as to why she was there and what investigation might have been going on at the time.
She makes a statement, you could have just called me.
Yes.
Was that basically indicating that could have just called her and she would have come in and talked?
Yeah, and that's something I've heard multiple times over my career of why didn't you just call me instead of I have to be arrested for this?
Were you aware that very early on in this investigation, she was resisting calls from Detective Bethel to come in and give an interview?
I was.
She makes a statement that she's been begging every single day for somebody to help her and says stuff like, I can't help if you don't help me. What was your takeaway from that?
Yeah, I think I could couple that with when she said that she would need even more help than the FBI could provide, whether it's DEA, and then she rolled into she needs secret identities for herself and multiple people. I think she was giving me a task that she thought I couldn't meet, and therefore she might not have to talk about difficult things.
Is the FBI equipped to do those things for witnesses that need protection?
We are. It takes a very extraordinary circumstance, but they could if they had to.
Okay, so I guess the question is if that was actually necessary here, could the FBI have provided that?
Yes,
So you were the right person to talk to if that was the eventuality.
I could get the right person for her.
Okay. You're not omnipotent.
No.
I want to jump into the next section. Did you have a chance to talk with her about the calls that we'd gone over, those consensual recorded calls?
Yes.
I'm going to jump to 12 minutes and 30 seconds, Judge. I can find my mouse on the screen. There it is. It's actually 12 minutes and 33 seconds. I can't get that 3 to cooperate with me.
You mean like talking to him? Oh, okay. So let me just explain that to you. And you might think that's like super, like
I'm not going to
whatever,
judge you here. Letecia.
whatever. To him was the reason I already knew someone was listening, but because of him not ever like being like supportive, and I tried originally to talk to him when he first got there. That was the only reason I said those things to him, was just because I was out of anger and out of like hurt and not being able to have like support. It was nothing to do with like I'm sitting here going to tell you these things. That was just anger, stupidity.
Council approach, please.
Let's pause that 13 minutes and 11 seconds. Picking back up from where we left off, it's at 13 minutes and 11 seconds and playing again from there.
And I already knew, like, if you heard it, you heard me say a lot of times, I know people are listening because I know the same time that someone called, every time I could hear people.
Right.
I knew that. So me saying those things to him was just being, what is the word you want to call it? Selfish or facetious, or whatever you want to call it, just because I was hurt by him not wanting to work together to figure this out, because I did have like originally initial different thoughts on certain things, and that was me trying to like basically read him and try to figure the situation out. So I understand that you may have heard those or whatever you may have heard, and that's okay, because that totally wasn't it. That was not me trying to be.
Right.
That was just being stupid to him.
So I have a question.
So, and it's paused right now at 13 minutes and 59 seconds. Mr. Grusing, what were your impressions of her saying that she's giving all this misleading information in those phone calls because she's just angry?
Yeah, I don't think there's much more to comment besides that. Instead of being focused like Al was and the rest of us of trying to find what happened to an 11-year-old boy, she was again focusing on her feelings.
Does it also, though, show potentially that it's very calculated, that she's doing things in response to what's happening in the investigation?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And then we'll just play from here until 15 minutes and 42 seconds. In this particular section, do you remember asking her about mental health and sound mind and those types of things?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll play starting here and go to 15 minutes and 42 seconds.
In regards to that, were you of sound mind? I mean, did you have, are you undergoing any treatment for anxiety or any depression or anything like that right now?
I mean, like, you mean, like, I've had anxiety since I was like 16, 17,
Okay.
but like, as far as like undergoing like any kind of special treatment, like sometimes I might have to take like a rest
Right.
But I didn't see like counselors or anything for any kind of depression. And then plus two, like right now with medical records, I'm 8 weeks pregnant, so I can't.
Holy shit, is her head balancing on the table now?
I mean, I wish I could.
This is absolutely amazing, guys. Like, what?
So I can't.
Okay.
But
So you were of sound mind when you were talking to Al. You were upset with him and upset with the situation of him not being by your side through this whole thing.
right. But then at the same time, like I have to sit back and think, in a person's brain, you hear 100 different things. You do whatever. I just wanted him to know, because he knows. Like I've been taking care of our kids like for so long. Like I'm not here to bash either one of them. They had a lot of different separate situations going on that I've always taken care of the kids. And so there's been times I've protected them from so many people,
So it's now paused again at 15 minutes and 42 seconds. Why are you asking these types of questions about sound mind and mental health based questions?
Well, I spoke with the district attorney's office before the interview, and they suggested that I ask them. I don't always ask these of people that I'm interviewing, but because of the varying stories and because of the district attorney's office and investigators looking forward to trial, we wanted to make sure that she knew what she was doing while she was talking to Al during our investigation, and then while I was even talking to her at the present.
When these types of investigations are ongoing, is the investigation goal to try to build a case that will plead out, or do you have to assume that it will go to trial?
We assume that it'll go to trial.
You asked her, was she sound mind during this time? Do you remember what her response was in that?
She said that, well, I can't remember right after that, but she referenced the reason why she was doing what she was doing to Al was to make him come back to her in the relationship, basically.
In that particular call, or I'm sorry, in that particular portion of the interview, it's at 15 minutes exactly when you ask about, were you sound mind? And she says, right.
Yes.
And then she goes into that description of taking care of the kids. Does this start to build in your mind when we talk about that pattern of behavior and then that pathway to violence that you talked about? I haven't gotten to the question yet.
I was going to say, let's get all the way to the end of the first, and then we'll see whether it's leading or not.
Does that information that she's giving you there build into that grievance portion of that pathway to violence?
Yes.
In what way?
She was articulating that in her mind, she felt like she was a good mother and she was a good caretaker for Gannon, and that she had, over the phone calls, expressed multiple grievances. And we actually addressed that later on in the interview when we go through her phone searches. We go into more of the grievance portion later, but just that she brought up her being the caretaker initially is something that we addressed later on in the interview.
Yeah. Do you remember asking her about what kind of dad Al is to Gannon?
I don't at this
Okay.
point.
Well, let's jump to that portion of the interview starting at 15 minutes and 53 seconds. I'm actually going to jump to 15 minutes and 49 seconds, and we'll play it to 17 minutes and 10 seconds.
Like I've had to step in and protect them a lot, so many times.
What kind of dad would you say Al was to Gannon or is to Gannon?
Oh, he's a good dad. Like, I mean, as far as like being like there for him and like, how can I say it? Like, if he says, hey, I want to go do something, Albert works a lot, so he's tired and his hours are like kind of, up in the air here and there. But for the most part, he like is always trying to make sure he puts, like the kids, military first, and always will be, and that's the mindset. And then
Did you go into the marriage knowing that?
kids.
That military was first?
Well, I grew up like knowing that my stepdad was here actually. That's why I was looking at that guy's name. But my stepdad was here. So I lived on. So, like, I maybe didn't understand it from parent perspective. I mean, I'm sorry, spouse perspective, like my mom's perspective.
Right.
But I did understand it from like a child perspective. But the thing about it was, is Albert didn't have to like go be deployed or anything like that. It was mostly like work through the night type thing. So it was like we were blessed in that way of not having have to see him go overseas or something like that.
Right.
So, when you're asking her about how Al is to Gannon as a father, she references that she grew up in as a military child as well.
Correct.
She mentions her stepdad. At any point, either during the phone calls or up to this point in the interview, did she ever mention any abuse by stepdad?
She did not.
In that last section that we heard where you're asking her about being in sound mind, she mentioned having anxiety and taking lorazepam. Did she mention anything during that section of this interview about having any severe mental health disorders or diseases?
No.
Did she ever mention being in treatment for extended periods of time for any mental health issues?
No.
Did she ever mention losing consciousness and not showing up someplace else that she didn't recognize?
No.
Did you go over family history with her during this interview?
Yes.
So let's watch that next, and it's essentially 17 minutes and 12 seconds to 21 minutes and 20 seconds.
And you guys have been married 6 years, 5 years?
5 years.
5 years. And you came to the marriage with Harley,
Right.
and then Elena's the youngest.
Right. And then we had like maybe I think 4 or 5 went to like kind of midterm miscarriages because we always try to like have kids. And I don't know, like something must have happened. Like when I get to a certain point, would have been more kids.
Right.
But yeah.
Do you think Al was faithful to you? Was he cheating on you?
I don't like. We never had like any conversation until like, of course, Matt like recently. But like prior to that, we never had like like buses or it might be something like Albert's type of person. When he got work, he just liked to come home. He wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna go do this with people. He just that was the good part because he wasn't. You know, like not saying you can't. Like I'm sure you might say if a football game's on, you know, watch it with your friends.
Right.
Usually, for the most part, we do it together, do something together. But it was never really like having our own people that we did things with. So we never like had issues of anything like that. Most of the time, the issues that we always had was I never wanted the kids to ever come back here. A lot of times, they would celebrate and leave again. But he would always say, well, I have to, I'm obligated.
So you don't think he was cheating on you prior to this whole thing going on with family? Did you suspect or no?
That Albert was cheating on me? No, I mean, there's been times in the past where I saw that he's talked to other women, you know, like on messages and things like that. But then he's also like, you guys have my phone. In the past, he would have saw that he's always apologized for, you know, like.
Were you guys considering divorce or no? You and Albert?
I didn't know anything about any kind of divorce. Like I know, like we've used the term loosely, you know, because there was a lot of stress having to deal with like situation with Landon. There was a lot of stress because like we fought so hard and so long to get kids to like a safe, you know, situation. So it was very hard to like you've read someone and they're so emotionally like upset about the kids not being with us and we not being able to protect them that it was kind of hard. It took a lot, you know, toll throughout that time frame of like Alaska, I'm sure time in Alaska. So during that time in Alaska and stuff, it was very hard to like have to see him be so upset from so many miles away. You know, we get calls that kids didn't have a place to stay. We get calls that there were guns in the back of their car and people would get arrested. And you know, so that took its toll in the terms of like figuring we should not have to like go through these things. But then once like we got to Colorado, you know, we all could be in like one place. And then it was like kind of, first it was like kind of hard because we've been, you know, back and forth to Alaska for so long. Because, you know, if you know the background, I had the kids here for their school year, for Gannon and Lena. So it was Lena's, was it first grade year? Again, fourth grade year. Yeah. So they would have went to school here. So I had them here with us then. Still with that, it was supposed to like being hard, going back and forth, traveling on holidays, things like that. So that would have been the most, you know, difficult time. Like I said, when we got to Colorado, it was just like, okay, we're here. You know, we are together. And we said stupid things to each other. Like, but like the things that we could do to be like, okay, we'll forget all this, or if you do this, we'll forget all this.
Right.
But it's silly stuff.
So it's paused at 21:20. And before I jump into these next questions, just noticing the time, do you want me to go to about 10:30 and then?
It's up to you. I was actually just gonna say whenever you can find a break in the next 5 minutes or so.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Okay, sounds good. This particular section, Mr. Grusing, was she able to recount details over this 5-year period that her and Mr. Stauch have been together?
Yes.
Did she indicate any trouble on remembering these details?
No.
Did she also even give you recounting silly arguments that they would have, that kind of thing?
Yes, she did.
Did that indicate to you that she appeared to be able to recall things fairly easily?
Yes.
Do you remember talking with her about where she starts talking about people are being upset, and she uses the words hard part, this is the hard part?
Yes.
Okay, let's go ahead and watch that section. And this is from 23:45 to 25:51. I'm actually going to start at 23:35, and then we'll go to 25:51.
From a distance going through that, because they'll deal with dads 14 years later who are looking for their daughters at bus stops and malls and whatever. So,
And see, that's the hard part is like, people are like, you know, being upset. And I'm like, I haven't had the opportunity to like even just sit down and be like, okay, well, this is, I've given my life to take care of these children. I have. They shouldn't. You know, and I've done that. And it's so hard because inside that, I don't get to express that emotion to have that, you know, to say to anyone, anything like that. And that's the most difficult because I've had to just be like, how can I make the situation back, you know, let's be honest.
I'm John. By the way.
John.
Yeah.
I mean, like Albert was talking about, and again, whether you make mistakes. I mean, literally woke up on Christmas. I always make it about the kids on Christmas because they don't get to spend Christmas with them. So like if they went home for the holidays, you know, they might leave, you know, go get out. We might not see them until, you know, January. So I always spent my time trying to make sure every time, I didn't believe in certain holidays, I did Halloween, but to make sure every holiday was like revolved around the situation. So if you look at the situation, I went, you know, we have every house and cars and we have whatever. So I worked my entire life with the kids. So to me, it's like everything I work so hard for, everything I work, you know, whether it's in the military or, you know, service and things like that, no matter how much we had did on that, it took us everything to get to.
Right.
And that was where we were at in our safe spot. So for a person who can, you know, take care of everyone and do everything for everyone, and then just cannot do it for a split second, that's the hardest part. You know, knowing that this is an image getting set on me, all these horrible things, all these things that are just not true.
Well, that's what we'd like to get to today.
And so, Mr. Grusing, where she's talking about, I've given my life to take care of these kids, is this building more on that grievance portion that we talked about earlier?
Yes, I was asking her about well, I was talking to her about when kids go missing, how hard it is on parents, families, society, etc. And then she, talked about herself again, and then what she tried to do to be a mom. And yeah, I would see that as, and then she went from there to holidays, so she wasn't going where I would like her to go, to see the gravity of us looking for an 11-year-old child.
Is that another indication of trying to distract away from the main focus of what this investigation was about?
Yes.
Judge, this might be a good time. The next section is about 13 minutes long.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will take a morning break. If I can have everyone back in the jury room at, say, 10:45, we should be able to start on time at that point. Again, don't discuss the case among yourselves. Don't discuss the case with anyone else. Don't do your own investigation about any aspect of the case. With that, we'll see you all back at 10:45. All rise for the jury, please. Thank you. You may all be seated. Mr. Gruesome, you can go ahead and step down if you would like. I just want to alert council, I think this afternoon, at some time we can either do it before we start the afternoon session or towards the end of the day. I would like to go through, because I think we're fair amount into the evidence. I want to go through and compare admitted evidence exhibits, make sure that we all have the same ones. And then that way, if there's something that is amiss, you can think about it over the weekend and we can figure out some sort of solution. But with that, we'll see everybody at 10:45.
Okay, thanks.
All rise.
Well, thank you. I'm just learning that I don't have to do it on here. I can do it by here, and then I forget to look here. Oh my God, this woman. Like I was saying to myself there a second ago, I totally think this is a jealousy thing. And her balancing her head like that off the table or whatever the hell she's doing, she's just like the oddest duck. The shit she says, probably one of my biggest pet peeves at this point is the fact that she's so freaking indignant. Like, you have to do this before, you have to do that. And it's like, what the hell? Thank you, Bruja. I'm just to let you guys know, like I'm going through a migraine time right now, so I'm a little bit off. It's the damn weather. Like literally, we're socked in, and it's been snowing for like 3.5 days. So yeah, that's definitely gonna hit the fibro. So yeah, I appreciate you guys. Muted. Press the unmute. We got you. Oh my God. Yeah, her being so indignant, listening to that shit. Yeah, the ultimatums. That's the thing. And listening to that one where she was talking to her husband, Al, like she's like, oh, you just went, oh, so you don't believe me, and I'm just gonna hang up. Or he would go, oh yeah. And you're just making a joke out of this. She was doing everything she could to not actually answer these questions. She is insufferable. Oh yeah, mine, me. I. It's like, holy shit, you sound like a record backwards. What the hell? Yeah. It's like you almost want to jump through and like, what are you doing? I might end up muting out because you can hear her singing away. This panda bear, oh my God, I love it. It's like acrobatic. Good impression, Jazzy. Well said, Bruja. Or Mexi, sorry. See, there we go. Oh my God, yeah, she's quite the little soundboard next to me. Self-centered, shit liar, decent manipulator. This is the thing. I mean, the arrogance to think that everything she says, people are going to believe just because it came out of her yap. Well, she's a joke. Like, she is a joke. If she's trying to go for insane, I think the jury's probably already learning she's a player, and not a good one. Not a good one. Oh, yeah, like, I'm kind of looking here at the me's, the I's, and I'm thinking by the end of this day, I'm going to be running to the store for another cartridge. Like, oh my God. Oh, Panda's going to stop for a little bite. Yeah, exactly. Not insane, just stupid. Oh my Lord. Lizzie's going to start. Animal Planet at my house. After watching all the sugar glider videos lately, oh my God, last night I'm like giving them all corn and watching them pig out and throw the shells backwards. I did watch a program, like, it sounds like they are pretty much native to Australia. Oh, Jazzy. And your Letecia impression. So I was watching a program from Australia, and different breed than what I have. Theirs are bigger, a little bit. Not. There is a lot of different types of gliders. So, okay, I'm good. They will take down birds. I had no idea. It was like, what the hell? I did not know that they would be that aggressive, that they would actually jump at birds that were within their area. Anything that doesn't smell like them, they're on attack. I was thinking yesterday that I wanted to maybe put my males together now. But I'm trying to figure out how I can do it without them hurting each other. And then I was also thinking that I would like to put them in the same cage as far as my females. But again, my friendliest little glider, Sammy, he totally attacked. He's the mellow one. Totally attacked one of my leucistics when I first brought her in and tried to and oh my God, he went after her hard. So anything that does, that does smell like something foreign, they will unalive it. You don't want to, you would never go to Australia. I think they do. I think they have the most as far as it goes for dangerous animals, aren't they? Like, as far as those critters. I've learned one thing by having been married to a compulsive liar when it comes to life experiences, and that is the only way their lies hold up. If people being lied about or to are not communicating or are connected in any way, the minute someone helps to connect the dots, everyone starts noticing. It's a domino effect. And that's what Letecia is experiencing, her own lies folding into each other. Hey, well said. Yeah, well said. I mean, I can't get over the way she's behaving and all the different stories. Like, I don't remember hearing about Mark. I'm going to nickname you Letecia. I will nickname you Letecia. Is that enough? Oh my word. No background music, Letecia. She's totally staring at her milk bone box. What I took from my experience was question everything. Yeah, well said. Well said. And she was like, I'll be quiet then. Ha, 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 ha. And yeah, like her husband knows her ways. So I wonder really what was happening behind closed doors when he was around. Like, was he noticing anything that was out of line with her? I'm just going to go back here. Oh, I wonder. I'm going to stay there for a second. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to check something out for a minute. I get a little distracted sometimes when I try to do okay, yeah, well, it should pop up. Okay, I'm just trying something. Usually the court kind of starts like a separate stream after these breaks, but it looks like they've actually got just the cameras off, so we'll see. Everything, Mexi, or give me no reason to question, give me the whole picture up front, or first time asked. Well, he was poking holes in her stories when she was reporting those break-ins. Yes, Baruha, listen to your story, but the second something comes up that's off, I'm going to call it. Absolutely, guys. Yeah. Life experience, right? Life experience. We're talking about even a person's fear level versus what it should be from these types of experiences. They alter everything in you. But you know what? It takes a special kind of a dick to go through all of this stuff and then repeat the behaviors. You know what? Like, it sounds like most of us are survivors and didn't follow the path of others, kind of took our own way just to avoid that toxicity. Making a list, checking it twice. Like, Al had a pretty good idea of her ways, but those should have been red flags all over. But he stuck with her, poor guy. Yeah, can you imagine? You know, just listening to that conversation between the two of them, it blew me away because he was calling her out and like, don't give me your shit, Letecia. Don't do this way, Letecia. He knew very well what she was doing. You know, he knew those behaviors and he was like, you know, that last one that we just listened to where Letecia was, like I was saying, she was like, every time she had an opportunity, she would like oh, now you're doing this to me, and now you're doing that to me, and now you don't believe me, and now you think it's a joke. And it's like, there's no truth to her. And she's a shitty ass liar, you know? It's like, all right then, you dumb shit. The thing is I cannot see her not. If she doesn't get convicted, I will be shocked. I hope they don't send her to a hospital because she needs to go to the Hooskow. But I'm not a juror, just my opinion, right? So I'll be very, very interested to see what comes out in this next, because I don't know about you guys. Did you hear the name Mark before? So now we got what? Let's go through that again. We got Mark, Eduardo. We have the pregnant girl with money, not pregnant, has money shoved in there instead. And we have, who am I forgetting? What's that guy's name? You see, the last one that has the criminal record is actually a human, but not involved. Like, she just found a name and threw that out. Relationships are hard. It's a battle between knowing in your gut something is up, but your heart is like, but I love you. Yeah, well said. Quincy Jones. Quincy. Terrible to be hyper aware. And that's what life does to you, right? Quincy Brown is the baddest man in the whole damn town. I can't sing. Eduardo, yes, Eduardo. Can't forget that little tidbit. Unreal. Yeah. And the thing is I actually think that she believes she's a good enough liar that everything that she spews, people will believe just because it was her that spewed it. And it's like, well, not so much. Now you got people, how did you put it? Hyper aware. The milkman. Gotta hit him with that Spanish language brouhaha, yet no doubt. I love it. I love it when you and I talk Mexi, and you, oh my God, that bear. When you and I talk and you talk Spanish, I love it. I love your accent. I love the sound of Spanish. The jury needs a graphic Dr. Phil style showing of all the versions she told on the event. Right. Got to flip that Latina switch. Yeah, love it. So now we get a video this morning, right? Another one? Or a soundbite? I can't remember right now. Can't remember. If that doesn't make you want to, like, just take one home, I don't know what will. My sugar gliders can ride on its back. And play with my dogs. All of that fur. Oh, she's got like something like 7 stories. Yeah, we all need a panda. Beautiful. I ran a lodge. I think I told you guys one time I ran a lodge, and the cat that stayed there, its name was Panda, and it was like a big female, what are they called? Manx? Like the tail was this, and she was huge. She just walked around that place. She would be, the lodge was super old, and she would bring through this little hole that was in like bottom of the wall, I guess, but they were all big round trees, right? Big. It was built like when the railway was being built through this one area. So anyways, yeah, Panda just ran the show. She would bring in through that little hole. I guess she brought through a rabbit once. I wasn't there for that. She did bring in a bird when I was there, just not the normal things that and a big bird. Like, it was like, what the hell? You get up in the morning and there she is chasing this thing around. She, like I say, she basically ran the place. People would come in and they would be like, whoa. And you didn't touch Panda unless you knew her, but for some reason she took to me. She'd sleep with me. She would, yeah, I loved Panda. Big, big cat. Yeah, 7 stories. There's 7 different stories. Actually, there's probably more because this was something they had like kind of at the beginning. Yeah, exactly. Vibe test.
Happy late birthday.
420?
I don't know, it says you had your birthday yesterday.
Oh, Franky. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Franky's birthday's on 420. Oh no, I can forget my own damn birthday. Especially on 420. Probably getting old, forgetful, and enjoy the 420. I'm getting old. You don't get presents anymore, so you kind of forget. Franky. And thank you.
Agent Gruesing?
Yes.
Okay.
I couldn't even find my phone yesterday, let alone anything else.
Essentially,
Thank you. I hid.
Lots of cases.
It's funny, even my kid forgot. Thank you. I'm like, your birthday? It's like, your birthday. It's like, what? Have you? I don't feel so bad. Oh my God.
We're talking about language of, oh, well, these are grievances that lead to the pathway to violence and stuff like this. This is expert testimony. And this testimony was,
I'm going to mute out and listen to this guy.
That is being used in this testimony was gained by being an FBI profiler. And, regular people, lay people, this isn't a lay opinion. They don't go around talking about pathways to violence in this grievance language that leads to pathways to violence. This is information and testimony that comes from and is directly from being a longtime FBO profile. This, we have to speak in expert reports about this FBI profiling material, not endorsed as an expert. If we had known that this testimony was going to include this expert FBI profiling type testimony, we would have done a Shrek hearing. There's, a lot of information out there in other reports that, talk about some of the problems with profiling in general, that it has a lot of holes in it. There could be a lot of problems with that. So based on that, I know he's got a lot of good, relevant information to testify to for the people. But them trying to elicit this pathways to violence and grievances leading to this and this other information, I think is wrong. I think it's moreover, we information and testimony and opinion.
Okay, so in summary, what I understand is that, first of all, do you have a citation on Stewart?
I do. Oh.
And while you're looking for that, as I understand it, the summary essentially of the argument is that Mr. Grusing was not endorsed to testify as an expert, has not provided any expert reports regarding the pathway to violence, which he has referenced. Is that accurate?
I could clarify one thing, Your Honor.
Okay.
He actually was endorsed as an expert.
He was endorsed.
He was endorsed an expert. I have filed a motion for expert disclosure for support granted.
Mhm.
I asked for a summary of their opinions on the basis for them. We were then told that all of the opinions of the experts were provided in the reports. Nowhere in this agent's reports does he mention anything about FBI profiling or that this was a pathway of violence, that this was the grievances or any of this type of information. It's not disclosed in any of his reports. And so we specifically asked for that so we could prepare for expert testimony to rebut some of this type of information. And we're told that any type of information provided in reports.
Okay, so now I understand that he was endorsed as an expert,
Yes.
I'm
But
sorry, Your Honor, I
the-
misspoke.
but this information was not provided in his expert report.
He wasn't even, we didn't get an expert report. All we have is this FBI, the reports like every other agent gave. And we have no report. We have a CV from him, but nothing in any of his reports that he was going to give in this type of opinion testimony.
Mr. Allen?
And Your Honor, just while I have it up in front of me.
Yes.
It's the Colorado Supreme Court, as I said,
Mm-hmm.
and 55P third 107.
Thank you. Mr. Allen?
So Judge, he was endorsed as an expert, obviously didn't move to have him qualified as an expert. In discovery, released his CV, which starts on page 45-0168. It's a 24-page CV, which might be the longest CV that I've released in discovery, but it's got extensive information about his background and training and things that he's done, including things with BAU, talking about serial killers, all that kind of stuff, school shooters, Scott Kimball investigation. And the basis of his testimony has been, in my intention is to continue to have him testify as to his experience and training and how he is using that in this interview to gain information from this defendant to continue on with this particular interview. That's been the entire basis of these types of questions. And a grievance is just really somebody feeling like they have a grievance. That's all that is. There's no specialized training for that necessarily. If somebody is complaining about something, people understand that to be, they think that there's a grievance that they have. We're not asking for expert testimony, didn't qualify him as an expert, went through his background because that is important. It does inform how he does this interview. And I would ask the court to, well, one, I'm not sure exactly what the objection is from defense because we've had both attorneys talking about it. And it's been different statements from both of the defense attorneys. And so just allow us to continue to go through his direct examination.
And I'll clarify exactly what my objection is. To the degree he is testifying as a lay expert, his opinion based on his training and experience is banned by people who sue. To the degree that they want to qualify him as an expert, we have a violation of the court's order regarding experts.
Okay. All right. Is Agent Grusing, he is back there. Okay,
Yeah, he's
good.
back.
Here's how I see this. I did enter an order that required that if the witness were going to provide expert testimony, that a report regarding that expert's testimony needed to be provided so that it could be disclosed. I understand that Mr. Grusing has been endorsed as an expert. He's not been offered as an expert at this point in time, but he's been endorsed as an expert. It's not clear to me. It appears to me that Agent Grusing did offer some, or he's mentioned in the reports, or he has some reports, but apparently does not have or did not disclose the opinions that the defense is requesting. What I would order is I think that Agent Grusing needs to stay away from the phrase pathway to violence. I think he can testify as to why he was directing the interrogation in certain manners. I think the issue of him saying, well, I wanted to keep her talking, I don't really know that that's any different than anybody else, frankly, that's testified here. I was telling her this because I was hoping that I would get her talking. At one point, I think it was in the video. I don't think it was independent testimony from Agent Grusing, so I think it was in the video. At one point, he mentioned something about the Dylan Redwine case, but I think that was in the video, and he was trying to get the defendant talking about that and trying to explain his experience. I think all of those are appropriate. I think it's appropriate for the for Agent Grusing to say, to an extent, this is what I was trying to get her to do. I think it is inappropriate for Agent Grusing, and Agent Grusing would be prohibited from saying, for instance, in this case, well, I was doing this investigation, and because of a technique that I learned in the Dylan Redwine case, this is what I was trying to do here, because I think at that point, a jury could conceive that he, based on his education, experience, and training, is equating Ms. Stauch with Mark Redwine, and that does not appear to be the case here. So I think that there are things that he can talk about. I've not heard him say that, even though he is a profiler, I've not yet heard any testimony that he developed a specific profile about the defendant, that she had certain characteristics or certain traits which would be consistent with, for instance, a serial killer or something like that. I've not heard any of that. I remember we got an objection about that, and Mr. Allen assured me that we were not going there. We have not gone there. So I think that he can say, I was trying to get her to talk. I was trying to get her, and my hope was that so long as we didn't directly, I'm not sure it was Agent Grusing, but somebody at some point in time said, so long as we did not directly accuse her of murdering Gannon, we thought we could keep her talking. I think that's appropriate. So far, I have not seen anything from Agent Grusing's testimony that is outside the parameters that I've already mentioned. So while the objection is there, at this point in time, it's overruled. If it becomes more prevalent or you think you need to lodge an objection, you can and ask to approach, and I'll deal with it then.
And the only other thing that we just do at this point in time too, we are objecting to this agent giving an opinion regarding her sanity under Rule 403. And the reason being is we've had a lot of, he went in for quite a length about his training as an FBI profiler, as his experience with serial killers, all of this kind of stuff. And I think because we've had all of that under 403, I think the jury would give more weight based upon his training and experience. And I don't think under 403 that's cured even by saying in your lay opinion, because I don't know how you take out 20 plus years of FBI profiling to give a lay opinion on this. We've had a plethora of lay witnesses testify that it's her sanity. This witness, because of the background that was given at the beginning of his testimony, I just think under 403, I'd ask the court to.
I'm going to require, Mr. Allen, that you not ask that question until we get to the end of the testimony, and then we can take it up then. I want to see what other foundation is laid at that point in time regarding his contacts with Ms. Stauch. It appears it's primarily this video.
Well, no, that's not accurate, Judge. If we're saying contacts, we've got a plethora of recorded phone calls. We've admitted 16 of them, but there's even more than that we didn't decide to admit. As you know, there's some that are over an hour long. There's some that are shorter in length. We're talking with this interview, which is almost 5 hours long, plus all of these others, that it's, as far as law enforcement investigators, some of the longest contact with this defendant of anybody.
Okay. I want to wait until I get to the end of
Yeah.
each direct. And before you ask that question, ask to approach, and then we'll see where we are there. I think I understand the issue from the defense is not so much contact as it is because of this witness's background and expertise. They may give more weight to his opinion than they would to just a lay opinion. So, and
Yeah. No, I understand that as well, Judge. I think that if we are making that sort of decision, and we can talk about this again later, but if we're making that sort of decision that based on we're guessing that the jury is going to give a particular witness more credibility or less credibility, I think we're invading the province of the jury. They get to understand and make those decisions in private in their deliberations, and we should not invade that. And I think case law is very clear about that. One last thing, Judge, just so that the record's clear on the prior cases, examples that Mr. Grusing gives during the pendency of this interview and that sort of thing. You notice I haven't asked any questions about serial killers or anything like that, trying to draw parallels. I'm not even asking about prior cases, even though it's prevalent in this particular interview. If there were concerns from the defense about those issues and topics coming up in this interview's been out in discovery for, years. This is the first time we're hearing about it in the midst of trial, in the midst of testimony from Mr. Grusing. And I just think it's improper to do it now under these conditions when there was plenty of opportunity to do it prior to. With the caveat that obviously I'm not drawing special attention to these issues. It's just going to continue to flow in this interview.
Mr. Eklund.
I'm not objecting. The fact that he mentioned red wine in the interview is not the source of my objection. It appears to me that he's inferring some traits as far as the serial killer, saying like the grievances lead to the pathway to violence, lead to somebody committing these type of horrible acts. That's the kind of opinion testimony that we're objecting. That I'm noticing she had these grievances, and that would then be a motive for her to commit this type of violent act based upon the training and experience. And it's not all the way there, but it's getting pretty close when we're talking about grievances lead to the pathway to violence. And that's specific one, and we were unaware of it until this point in time. The stuff in the interview technique, that's fine. And the stuff I need to keep her talking, that's fine. It's the stuff that's, I've noticed this, I've seen this in other people, and it seems like she was leading up to this type of thing. That's the specific thing that we're on.
Okay. All right. I think we've all made the argument. I've given us a pathway forward, and that's where we will go. Agent Grusing, do you have any questions about the parameters that I expect?
I do not, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Are we ready to bring in the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense? Anything else? Okay. Let's go ahead and bring
Do you want Mr. Grusing back on the stand?
Yes, please. Agent, Special Agent Grusing, or I'm sorry, it's now Mr. Grusing, if you would.
Only
resume-
Mr. Grusing.
If you would resume your feet on the witness stand. I remind you that you're still under oath. All rise for the jury, please. Thank you. May all be seated. Court will recall 20 CR 1358, People versus Letecia Stauch. Record should reflect. With that, Mr. Allen.
Judge, we just need the screen back on.
Right.
So, Mr. Grusing, in this next section that we're going to watch, which is 25 minutes and 55 seconds through 38 minutes and 28 seconds, you discuss victimology. Just so that the jury understands what victimology is, will you explain that?
It's just simply the study of the victim So for someone like Gannon, we just try to find out as much as we can about him to maybe lead us to what happened to him.
Okay. We'll start that now at 2555.
But first, let's go to Gannon, because what we do is called victimology. Have you heard of that before?
Sure.
So victimology is we find out as much as we can about Gannon, the victim.
Okay.
And even if he's safe somewhere, even if he's not, knowing more about him, especially since you were the last person with him, helps us to try to figure out, like, say we don't have a suspect, somebody killed, but we have nothing.
Okay.
Then we will look at that person to see what drew that homicide there. Why did those two people interact at that time?
Okay.
And then we'll also do things like it's the subject, the situation, and the location. So something happened, and it's here. You have someone or something that did him harm, and then you have why the location.
Okay.
So we have those three things. And, we've looked through your house and, done the CFI stuff and looked at all the, body fluids all over the house and garage and whatever else. So that's all been done. I'm curious to see your challenges of Gannon here when you had to be a parent, and then there. Challenges, successes, whatever else. What special attention did he need? What can you tell me about him?
Well, here he was younger, I'm sure a little bit hitting towards, like sixth grade.
Uh-huh.
So like here he was more so of like, let's see, not like at that time and situation here. Okay, so prior to that, we never got to see him except like every other weekend for the longest time.
Okay.
Right. All right. So then when Albert, we finally pay all the money, or whatever. Albert had to choose between getting out of the military or the kids in a way, kind of, because mom wasn't given any or whatever. So then that's when we step in and say, we're going to keep them here in our home here, and I'll stay here with them. And then, we'll go from there.
Right.
So during that time, he also didn't get to see his mom. Aisha didn't have a place to live. She had a baby, but then mainly to her, I'm not going to trash her. I'm going to say she was married to someone who didn't take care of, who wouldn't take care of them like they should, with her being pregnant in that situation. So with mom not having that foundation support, she wasn't able to come to the house a lot. And when she did come to the house, there's times she came that she was like, she just wasn't in a good place. So I let her stay at her home. And Gannon had a tough time every time because in his mind, he just wanted to be like a stepsister,
What? His stepsister?
Yeah.
You mean Harley?
No.
Oh, Landon's?
Yeah. No.
No, I don't.
Mia. Mike. Sorry.
Got it.
Mike, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So he wanted it to be like Mike started, which was they go to his dad's house for a week.
Right.
So
Got it.
that was Gannon's mindset when he was here. Grandparents, amazing people, which is Landon's family. Amazing people, Grandma, I think her name, Nana and Poppy. Great people. They would always come get them on weekends and things like that, so that I'd have time to do whatever I needed to do, or if I wanted to go shopping or go hang out with people, whatever. So we had all that, going on here. The missing piece was, our country.
Yep.
Gannon would do his schoolwork, very smart. I think he made all A's here in fourth grade. I'm pretty sure he made all A's here. So made all A's here, didn't have like an issue at all.
What would he like when he got home from school? Because Albert's out, you're having to take care of him.
Well, to be honest with you, I got him from after school, which was about like 5:30ish. So by the time we did homework, and all those things, it was almost time to get ready for bed.
Are you doing his homework with him? Is he doing it on his own? What?
See, the difference between schools, and I'm not trying to talk about Colorado if you're from Colorado, the difference between Colorado and South Carolina schools was South Carolina did a lot more with history and those type of things. For Colorado, it's all so he did struggle with history, so we had to sit at the table a lot of times and really work on he was a mathematician. So like his dad. Gannon is just like his dad. He is so mathematically inclined, like an engineer type brain. So when it came to anything, history and
Right.
reading science stuff, unless it was something he liked, he didn't like. So we spent hours sometimes, working on those things. But with knowing the curriculum, it was easy for me because I already knew. And so by the time we did that, it was time for him to go to bed. Yada, yada, yada. So that was,
That's here. So,
yeah.
and what about in Colorado? How
So-
is that different?
Well, when we get to Colorado, of course, I start them in school, which would have been August. Okay. So I start them in school. It was a big help because Gannon is at this point a little bit more mature and he knows he'd stay with us. Because see, I took him to Alaska and homeschooled him before we got to Colorado. I homeschooled him for those 2 months. And then we transitioned into Colorado. Actually, it wasn't August. I'm sorry, I told you the story. It was that January that we got here because I homeschooled him November, December, not of this past time, but of the year
Got it.
before.
Okay.
Sorry.
So January 2019.
Yes, so I homeschooled him 2018, November, Christmas time because mom couldn't get him in
Mhm.
for whatever reason. Then we came on to, but I think she ended up getting him and she flew them back to Colorado for a week or something. She got him for a week maybe. Flew them back to Colorado. So January 2019, we would have started school in Colorado.
Okay.
Right, so get them in school, which Colorado, I mean, I think it was like May, middle May, they would go to Colorado.
Right.
So February, March, April. Okay. So it was pretty simple in the terms of we would do like, he never had to work in Colorado for some reason. So it was always Albert would be like make them write their labs or it was time for them to go to summer.
What time did you normally get home from school?
Well, around that time he went to another school because this new school wasn't built.
Okay.
So it would have been like 3:45, 4 o'clock maybe just because it happened coming from across town.
Mhm.
And then coming with the fall. Yeah, so they came back in August. So we went on, Gannon went with us on a big cruise in the summer because he didn't want to go home. Right away, we gave him a choice. You want to go on a family cruise or you want to go, he said he wanted to go on a cruise. So I went on a big family cruise, Dominican, and I forgot a couple. So it was
Okay.
just me, him, Harley, and Albert. So it was just the 4 of us, and
Okay.
Lena didn't go. So we all went on this family cruise and had a great time, whatever. And then, of course, they come here for the summer, and then they get ready to come back for fall. So they come back for fall, and at this point in time, I was working. Albert was doing like the shift, like
So
3-2.
You had your teaching job and
Yeah,
so on?
3-2, 3-2. He was working and all these things.
Okay.
Well, Harley was working, I think, and starting Pike Peak College. So we were all pretty busy, like throughout the day. And then in the evening, it was kind of like, come in, grab this. But then I was coaching. So as I was
What were you coaching?
softball. So as I was
At your school?
at the high school.
At the-
So as I was coaching softball, I probably didn't get home sometimes till like 5:30, maybe sometimes later, just
Mhm.
depending on if it was a game or practice or something like that. So honestly, a lot of the help had to come from either Harley doing a lot of it, if Albert was working, or Gannon had to independently, do a lot of it himself.
How did he get home from
Which we were
school?
teaching. At this point in time, they were in the new school.
Right.
So the new school, because we lived 1.5 miles out, the new school allowed him to take. If not, they had the rest of the way they had to.
Okay.
So coaching was over, probably around, I think it's weird because they do softball for him. So coaching was over maybe around October. Gannon started having a hard time because he was wanting to go home for Thanksgiving. When I tell you Gannon, he loves his Nana. Like that's his. If it was up to him, he'll just
Live with Nana?
I'll be at Nana's house
Yeah.
all the time because he loves Nana. So he wanted to go because he has 2 little boy cousins. If you know, Gannon has 4 sisters, and he doesn't have any brothers.
Mm-hmm.
So he, in his way, those 2 little boys are his brothers.
Okay.
So if he goes to Nana's house, he can spend a lot of time with his little cousins. And then they can all just hang out. He didn't get to go for Thanksgiving. Albert had to work. So I don't really cook. It was always like eating out whenever it's my
Right.
turn. So I just said, hey, listen, we'll go out to dinner. We did all this Thanksgiving, tried to make it up the best that I could because I'm not his mom, but he wanted to be there with the family. you know, because the holidays and that's what it's always used to. And then of course Christmas came around and same thing kind of happened at Christmas, but then we worked it out and we figured out a plan to get them home for Christmas.
They want the nanas for Christmas.
Spend time with the family, yeah, because mom never had like a house. So Albert said it's okay if they go and then they have to get me a house. And that was our biggest worry. Is like, have you ever been here before today?
Mhm.
Okay, so like if you like look on the boulevard and things like that, there's a lot of like not the best places, and that was where they were staying at one point. You know, when they would come, and so that was why we were like, no,
Right. Okay. Yeah. So then, is Gannon responsible for taking his own? He has ADHD medicine, right? Does he do that on his own? Do you help him with that?
Most of the time, like how it worked is I got all lunchbox is ready, set them on. We've been in the house with the stove that's in the corner by the refrigerator. We would set the lunchboxes out, snacks, and let them pick. And he always pick before Lena because he just knew that he could get it. If he beat her up, he could pick the snacks he wanted. You know, so he would pick the snacks that he wanted, and I would lay his. If Albert wasn't getting them up, I would lay his ADHD medicine, 5 amps, 20 milligrams. I would lay his 5 amps on. And so
What form is it? Just tablet? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would lay it on the counter, and he would know, you know, come in and take it.
How does he take it? Is it with
Like,
water?
or with, yeah. He doesn't even use water half the time.
Okay. Right.
He's been taking it since he was 5.
Okay.
So
Is there any other that he's on or no? Like Adderall or anything?
no, I don't know. I think when he was like 5, they like tried one medicine, but the 5 amps worked. That was it. Like that was the one.
Any of the other kids on medication?
Mm-mm.
Harley? Or,
Mm-mm.
no.
No.
What about you or Al?
I don't know anything other than when I told you
Yeah.
about
Uh-huh.
the lorazepam. But see, the thing about lorazepam was they might give it to me and I might not get it again. You know, 30 tablets, but it was only for like panic attacks or things like that. As far as Albert, I know he has the gout, so I know I'm
Right.
sure it's nothing that.
But nothing that he could, Gannon could mix up medications with or whatever. Like
I don't-
somebody else's meds or anything.
Not that I'm worried. Now there's stuff in the counter from like probably old stuff or like, you know, like Harley had her wisdom teeth taken out. I think Albert did, but I'm pretty sure he might have been smart to get rid of that stuff. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But none of us had like any like anything like that.
That's
So in that particular recounting of, you lead into asking challenges with Gannon. Again, from your perspective, did she appear to be able to recount things and have strong memory recall ability?
Yeah, she walked us through his childhood, South Carolina, Alaska, Colorado, when he got home from school, what courses he did well in, what courses he struggled in. So, yes,
Did it sound like fairly normal family life?
it did.
Did you ask about bath salts and the hike from Sunday, January 26th?
Yes.
So let's jump to that section. It's going to be from this point up to 4330.
I'm asking you that because of the bath salt deal that he came up with. You know, that was on the hike day, wasn't
Okay,
it?
so the bath salt thing was just totally because they did this drug class, which is the same class that my grade did too. And it's where these people came in and they dressed up in like, I say dressed, they were professionals. They are medical professionals. They dressed in their outfits and all those things, and they let the kids like pretend they were working on, what do they call it? You know, like as if they were doing CPR and all that. And
yeah.
during that time frame, they went over all these different drugs. So they talked about what your life is on crack. They talked about like all these, like it was very, very like in depth for 5th grade. But at the same time, you got to think it was probably a good thing to.
So is Gannon telling you about this, or did you find out from a teacher, or how did you find out they had this in-depth conversation?
Well, I knew because they did it at our school first. So they did it they did our school first. So it was something once they found out they did our school and they saw like all the cool pictures and things like that, other teachers wanted to know about it. So when the other teachers want to know about it, they, you know, went around different schools and they signed like, I think Albert signed a permission slip or maybe sent an email to the teacher or whatever. whatever, that it was okay for him to do.
So was Gannon fascinated with the bath salt thing, or how did that conversation happen? Because I know that seemed to be important, you know, during the hike and afterwards and whatever.
Well, he was like, okay, so my apparently would deliver these. And we never knew what they were. Say we were told meat, we were told whatever. We don't know. But Albert would always talk to Gannon about anytime people had anything to do with drugs and things of that sort. He would always say, like, these are bad people, things like this is bad things. So
Right.
Gannon already had like some sort of base foundation,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and because he had like that sort of base foundation, he always had like questions because like
Right.
that, and that was always the thing. Because his baby Nova gonna be, his baby Nova gonna be. And that was like his main concern, was wanting to know these things because he was just curious of how, like, all.
Oh, were you guys on the hike when he brought it up, or where were
He
you?
had already brought it up prior to the hike.
Okay.
He had already said something when he came home after this.
Was it a concern for you? Tell me what he said and how your
I
conversation
don't
went.
honestly, sir, I don't remember. I just remember he was telling us about the different things that they were talking about. And then I was like, oh, did you guys do this? And they would be like, yeah, I don't know. So it kind of like mimicked the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So we did talk about that a lot.
Was that before hike, you said?
Yeah, leading up to it, before the hike, there was a lot of talk about it, you know, for a little bit. And then, of course, the hike, I think he said a few things.
What did he say?
I just remember he was talking to me.
And was it
randomly.
concerning to you,
Like,
what
as
he was
in-
saying? Like he really wanted to try these things, or what?
Like, I didn't think anything about him wanting to try any of it, do anything with it. Know that he said something about it, and I gave him a bath bomb.
When he said something, what did he say?
He just asked me about, in general, about if we had bath bombs. Because, to be honest with you, he had already pooped how many times?
So he said that after he pooped on the hike?
He pooped a couple of times on the hike.
Yeah.
Like, when I say poop, I don't mean like, you know,
Just a little bit to where it's
Right,
uncomfortable.
right.
And whatever.
Right. And so it was the whole thing about bath salts was just, I think he just wanted to like relax because he ended up taking 2 baths. So
Now,
I
do
think he
you,
wanted to.
and this, I don't want to be weird, but are you giving him baths? Is he taking them?
No. And then it goes by himself, and he's very like helpful, independent. Like I've taught him so many independent skills where he can go in there and just now he'll forget to like bring his clothes up or
Right.
you know, simple things like that.
Okay. So he takes 2 baths that night, or 1 bath that night, 1 the next morning, or?
I think when we got home, we took one. Me and Lena went to go get food. And then I think he had used the bathroom again. Took another one. I think me and Lena got back. And then she took one somehow.
So, Mr. Grusing, in that portion of the interview, we're talking about the hike and bath salts. Again, did she appear to have ability to recall those details as well?
Yes.
Is that markedly different than when you're talking about trying to get details as to what happened again?
Yes.
In what way?
She's comfortable talking, and as you mentioned, she's giving details, and she can clearly remember what was going on, just even from her comfort in talking to me.
And this is from, what she's describing here is from the hike that occurred on the afternoon of January 26th of 2020.
Yes.
Did you ask her about what does it look like if her and Gannon argue?
Yes.
So let's jump to that section. We're going to jump to just a little bit ahead, 44 minutes and 45 seconds. And we'll play this through 49 minutes and 12 seconds.
So what does an argument look like with Gannon? Have you guys ever argued?
Like maybe like in Myrtle Beach, you know, we would have been like, we're so much alike. So we are so much alike in terms of we both have stomach problems. Really. We both have like anxiety, so to speak, you know. And he's so like kind and like kind-hearted, and then the point of like we can get upset about something, but then the next minute he'll be like I am. He'll be like, oh, look about something. We'll just say something, or he had tremendously increased the amount in Myrtle Beach. I don't think I ever heard him do I love you, or like, you know, like, I mean, like, the holiday might come, you know, they just say, oh, something, whatever. But like, since having him all the time, it became more of like, I would hear, I love you, like, all the time, you know, and so I feel like it was on
The holiday, the Christmas before, is that what you're saying? He disappeared?
You what now?
When you said around the holiday, he was saying, I love you?
I'm saying like once, once we started.
I do believe I have that link in the description. If I don't, I'll add it because it should be there.
Like wanting to
Jazzy's still
have
singing,
that
guys.
connection with the kid.
Surely you had some arguments with him though. Did you ever have to discipline him or no?
Well, I never never spanked any of the children, never, because I just don't believe in spanking other people's kids. So never had that. Now, as far as like, okay, you are in trouble, you're going to do this. Yeah, that's any kid with any of them.
What's the biggest disagreement you had with Gannon?
The biggest disagreement. Probably because he doesn't. And again, he probably shouldn't have this on him as a kid, but not like seeing the light. How he couldn't go home. He was so like, you know, kind of forgiving. It's okay, mommy don't have money. You know, if I said anything like, well, and I probably shouldn't have, but I did, I would be like, well, she quit doing this, she could pay for it. And I would always figure out a way. But then it was like, you know, I'd say, I wanted him to see that.
So was this a certain incident?
You want to know?
The biggest disagreement you had, was this a certain time or you
No,
just
we never
talking?
had like big, like there was never any like big all out. Are you, when you say disagreement, like clashes or like screaming,
Well,
shouting?
I'm a parent, so I've had mine.
You mean
Disagreements,
like
yelling at the kid.
like that kind of disagreement, but never not like a.
So what's the most
physical,
upset you've been with Gannon?
where we've like.
Or you've had to
fussed at each other.
yell, and I've had to yell at my kids.
I got you. I see what you're saying. So like where we've had to like fuss at each other over whether or not he did something. If he did something.
That has to happen if you're a parent. I'm just
Right.
saying, I'm not judging you.
Saying, I thought you were asking
Again,
me like.
no,
you were like,
I'm more looking at this from Gannon's point of view. I'm not judging you.
no, I thought you were asking me more of like, you know, like whippings or like
Beat me or
switches
something like
or like something like that. No.
So what's the most intense time you've had with Gannon? As far as you're yelling, he's yelling, that sort of thing. That has to have happened, especially with that kid.
I mean, yeah, of course.
So what time do you remember?
Probably times that I don't remember specific times. I say all around Albert, like not being disciplined.
Well, when
disciplined enough.
You know, when Gannon was just doing something that's totally irrational and unreasonable. I have a boy, I know.
Yeah.
They don't behave all the time.
Right.
So what did Gannon?
I don't know of any like specifics. I just know that we would have, you know, like if it would have been something that wasn't in what our teachings were, we would have, of course, yelled.
So you never had to yell at him that you remember?
I just said that to you. I said there have been plenty of times.
Yeah, but I mean a specific one.
So, Mr. Grissing, in that portion of the interview, when you're asking about the biggest disagreement that she had with Gannon, she referenced Gannon's mother. Did Gannon's mother and the relationship that Gannon had with his mother become a fairly consistent theme as it relates to her feeling like she wasn't getting credit?
She mentioned that a couple of times, yes.
Okay. And in that particular one, she mentioned that he's very forgiving to his mom. And she being the defendant wanted Gannon to see that his mom wasn't doing the right things,
Yes,
almost seeming to want to discredit Gannon's own mother
correct.
in Gannon's eyes.
Yes.
Okay. Did you ask, or did she eventually give a description of Gannon being in a very upset rage and having some sort of a knife or box cutter?
She did.
All right, let's jump to that section, and we're jumping ahead about a minute, so 50 minutes and 10 seconds. And we're gonna play it to 55:32.
Gannon wouldn't like yell back. Gannon would not like yell back and be like, like confrontational. So Gannon would not like. He might say something
Well,
smart
how did he react?
under his breath.
Do you
or-
have an incident you remember or no?
No,
When you had to put your foot down and say, Gannon, that's not acceptable.
no. Like if I said that, he pretty much listened to what I said.
Yeah.
It was like not. I don't remember him screaming back at me at any
Or just go in his room, slamming the door,
situation.
anything like that.
In the door room. Maybe.
Well, no,
Maybe
no.
more so me like saying something to Albert might have been more of the if there was slamming doors or anything. Like going back again. Albert, you need to make sure he's not doing this, and then go from there in that situation.
Okay.
Like Albert was teaching him how to use a box cutter and like different things like that. And there were times that I might have been like, "Oh, Albert, I don't think you should have done this because he was acting weird in this way." But that would have been early in the beginning before we started getting into like counseling. So once he started getting, like
No, remind me the counseling. What was that for?
do what now?
The counseling?
So Albert said that he should get counseling through the military just for like all the transitions and being like in and out of school and all the different things like that, just to make sure that his mental like well-being was fine. And Albert said that anytime he would, of course, counselors can't tell you, what was going on unless it was something, pressing. And of course, Albert would always come out and say that everything's fine, and then Gannon would come back and tell us what he talked about. But as far as like,
Did Gannon ever come at you with a knife or something? Wasn't there an incident?
well, that's what I was just telling you about. There was when I told you Albert was trying to teach him how to use
That's the box cutter
a box
thing?
cutter, yeah. So Gannon had this thing about the knife, and he was doing like this, and whoever told you that it was coming at me, that is not.
That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah,
I'm getting a real story here.
No. You've got stories from everywhere, and you
Yeah.
probably are not looking at me for mine, but that is not what happened. Gannon was in a upset, which the video was shown to the counselor lady,
Okay.
and Albert was so upset because he was like, you should have let me get the video or something like that. But Gannon was in more of like an upset rage because this was in the very beginning when he had to first transition to another school.
Was this fall?
No, so this would have been, I don't know if it would have been fall, but okay, so 4th grade, new school, high school, then they went to the first school in Colorado, and then
Okay.
a new school opened.
Correct.
So it was somewhere between that time frame of Gannon it was too much transition for him. That had nothing to do with him being mad at me or being mad at Albert or Landon or whatever. It was too much transitions for him that he was so upset. Like,
Where was he when he was doing this? Was he in his room, in the
I feel
garage?
like it was,
And where were
I
you?
don't really ask me something that was a while ago. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I mean,
Were you threatened by Gannon doing that? Did it
I
make you
told-
nervous?
well, I told Albert, I said it has a mentality. Like in my mind, I said it has a mentality of like he's going to want to not hurt himself, or not just specifically hurt someone in general, but specific, but in general. And so like I was a little worried because I thought he has so much anger and aggression for what was going on. Because it honestly was, Albert hadn't even got there yet, I feel like. I feel like Albert had just either got to Colorado or hadn't got there yet.
Right.
And so he had to go from being with his mom back to me, and then Albert wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was, okay, like I gotta I gotta start new school. I gotta make new friends, you know, like all those things.
How did you handle it? How did you calm him down?
He
Yeah.
was typically always,
No, but I'm specifically with the box cutter thing. How did you calm him down?
I don't know if it was a knife he had then. I was just saying,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
he had been using a box cutter, so that's how I was
Okay.
teaching him. So I remember I took his amiibo. He loves amiibos. And I took his amiibo and I just threw his amiibo out the front yard. And I told him, I was like, the amiibo's gone. We're never getting it again. And I made him call his mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't remember what we exactly said, but I know she was basically saying, like, you know, you better listen. She gets upset and sends me a message. I send her a message back, and we were both like mad at each other, as in me and Landon. And then it was kind of more of like, okay, it's calm down. But this was a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So that was the gist of that. It was he needed that outlet.
Okay.
He needed that
Well,
counseling.
that helps us.
So pausing it at 55 minutes and 32 seconds. Again, she's showing a good ability to recall different events that have occurred during her time with Gannon.
He is.
She says that there's some video of some knife or box cutter incident. Did you ever see such a video?
I did not.
Do you know if one even actually existed?
No.
Was there a portion of the interview that you did with her where she relays to you that she had somehow convinced Gannon to call her different names?
Yes.
The way that she's talking about that with you, did that seem like that was a calculated move on her part, meaning that she's trying to convince Gannon to do this?
Yes.
Okay. Let's jump to that. That's going to start at 57 minutes and 15 seconds. And we'll play it through 57 minutes and 47 seconds.
Sir, it's so hard because
John, don't call me.
I'm sorry.
I'm old, but
I'm
don't call
sorry,
me.
John. It's so hard because if I get up in the morning and Jana would even say, "You want me to take the dogs out so you can have 10 more minutes of sleep?" And I convinced him into changing my name.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go on board of like calling me a different name. I didn't ever like my original name, so I had to go on board of calling me a different name. So the helpfulness.
So as it relates to those that different names that she's referring to, the reason that she gives in the interview was because she didn't like her original name.
That's right.
Did she ever talk about that in any other time, either on those phone calls that you were a part of, or even during this interview about how she would go as a different person or different name?
Not that I was a part of, no.
Did this appear to be the way she's describing it, a voluntary act on her behalf to get Gannon to call her a different name because she didn't like her original name?
Yes.
Did you ask her about the candle incident and the fire in the basement and keeping Gannon home?
I did.
Why'd you ask about that?
We as investigative team were very unclear on what happened with the candle incident, and she ascribed a lot of injuries to Gannon, including burns on his arms, blood, that sort of thing. So I wanted to see how she would talk about it to me.
Okay, so we'll jump to that section next, and we're going to jump to 1 hour and 1 minute and 20 seconds and play through 1 hour, 26 minutes and 58 seconds.
The candle incident. Can you tell me about that?
Okay, so Gannon wanted to, I don't remember if he wanted to stay up 30 minutes. I can't remember. There was something he did that allowed him to earn some extra time. There was something he did. But Albert had grounded him from playing the Switch. So he wasn't allowed to, play a Switch or whatever. He was only allowed to
Right.
Well, on the hike earlier that day, he was so helpful with me. People think he's sick and he's still whatever, but I have serious stomach issues and still have to operate. But he was so helpful with taking care of the dogs and stuff. And I had told Gannon that, Yeah, so that kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep, I remember that.
yeah,
day, too.
so we sat around and, you know, we had like, before we left, we were like on the sofa and I'm just like crying. Like, he didn't know who that was. Like, he knew the name, but
Mhm.
not like growing up in like my generation to like know who that was. So we just sat there and like talked about it. And I told him, like, you know, Kobe had all. He's like, you know, started relating in the terms of being like, oh, you know, like me, I have all sisters. And so, you know, we were talking about that. And then in between some of those questions might have been certain questions that led to what he was asking me about what went on school in the thing,
Okay.
in the talk.
Right.
And so that led into on the walk, on the hike that day about what we talked about. So then that evening, I don't remember what he did, but I remember I said he had 30 minutes of something extra. And I knew it wasn't his Nintendo or things like that at the time because he wasn't supposed to earn that back until the next day. And so then we had, I think I was upstairs, Lena. Harley wasn't there. Harley had to work. So this, Harley had to work until, I think it was like, and then Gannon had, what was he doing? He was doing something, I don't know. So I go back upstairs, then I hear the machine was saying, like, beep, 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 like, is his phone was coming in the house.
Okay.
So I put the code in thinking, so why is the alarm thing went off? Open, or none of that stuff. No doors open. So then I go back where Lena was at, and I think she was faking sleeping, but not really.
Mhm.
And then, but she had like the cover over her head a little bit. And so like she was doing like whatever. And so then I hear the thing saying fire.
Does it actually say fire?
It said fire.
Okay.
So that was the crazy thing because I never had heard, I didn't know what, I thought it would just be like that.
Right, like a siren.
But I don't know if it was the detector thing saying fire or if it was the actual. But it was just like fire, 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 whatever. So then I run back in there and I look and I see, I don't see anything, I don't see anything. I look downstairs and I don't see anything. And it was still going. So I grabbed Lena. I tell you exactly wrong, but I'm pretty sure I grabbed Lena first and grabbed the dog. I think that's how it went. Don't quote me on that, but I'm sure it was in that order.
Yeah.
And we run out to the truck. I feel like either I open the door. I don't remember. Somehow they get to the truck.
Okay.
And then I run back downstairs because at this point I already know I'm up there. And so I run back downstairs and Deanna was awake but not awake. Like you know how you can almost like be asleep but not asleep type of thing. And
So he's in his bed.
No. He wasn't in his bed.
Where was
He was on the sofa.
he? On the sofa.
Right. So he was on the sofa. And so like when I pull the cover, I pull Gannon with the cover. And so at this point in time, then I put the fire that's out.
So what did the fire look like?
It wasn't like huge.
Where was it? In the carpet? On the sofa?
I feel like it was on like one of the covers.
On the covers? Was the cover on the sofa though, or was it on the floor?
I don't remember. I just remember it was in the small location. It wasn't a big enough fire to
What color was it? Do you remember? Was it yellow, red, orange?
I don't remember. It wasn't in a color to like. Wasn't
Because I think what blue burns the hottest. Then you have stuff. If stuff gets involved in the fire, you have a yellowish or reddish color.
I don't remember.
Don't remember?
I don't remember.
How can you show me how tall it was? Like, do you
I don't
remember?
remember. It wasn't tall.
Wasn't tall.
I don't feel like it was that tall. I mean, but my tallest might be different. I don't want to. I don't.
Still, a fire's going to freak you out.
Right. Yeah. So when I pull the cover, I pull him with the cover too, and we run out.
Did you put out the fire or no?
I know that we took the covers, both of us. When he sees what's going on, we took the covers and like we smashed down on it. Yeah, because my honest thought was oxygen, put it out.
Right.
That was all I could think. Put it out, whatever.
Did it take much? Sorry to interrupt. Did it take a lot to put it out or no? Or did you just smother it and then move? Or was it
It-
something in between?
Was there what now?
Something in between, you know, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth.
Something in between?
Like in between, just it happened real quick, or you had to fight it for a while, or?
Oh, it wasn't like fighting for a while. Like there was already a bunch of covers on the side that that I had grabbed them all and put it here. This is why the whole thing was all covers. There was like
Okay.
covers all up everywhere. So it was like stuff there. And then I run and he's running behind me. So as I'm running up, he like trips or whatever, but he's right behind me.
Mhm.
So then I think I exit back out the garage, I feel like.
So the truck was in the garage?
No. It was out front.
Oh, it was
I'm
out
saying
front.
like I think I exited back out the garage. Because I feel like I just ran back to that door. I'm not 100% positive. I know we ran out. Then Ganna runs right out behind me. And when I turned around and I'm saying something to him because I'm like, hey, because in my mind I don't remember if I had gotten the dogs, even though I had already
Right.
had grabbed the dogs. And so like I don't remember what we were saying, but we were all in a free, whatever. He jumped in the passenger side, and I'm in the driver's side of the truck.
Okay.
Lena is in the back, and at that point we drive off. So we drive off for a minute. We drive back, but there's no gas in the truck.
So was anybody burned from that?
So Gannon
or Gannon?
had a little burns on his arms from that. And then but at the time, Gannon always lays with like his either like his underwear on or like something like that. So at the time when we ran out, I feel like did he have a shirt? I don't remember if he grabbed a shirt or grabbed another cover. But I knew that he had some burns on his arm, but I know they weren't bad, like burns that were bad. They were just like you can feel or whatever.
Were they discolored then? Was the skin reddish, pinkish? What was it? Or did you see it then? Or later?
No, it was not till later that I really like paid attention and should have been like, okay, well, because I did later on on it, but
Okay.
so yeah, so like his arms, and then we get in the truck or whatever. So then we come back. And so I'm, of course, and like, I text Harley, I text Albert, what had happened. And I said, this is what happened. Tell Harley this is what happened. Don't panic when you come home. Because the house, at this point in time, we get back in, smells like nothing but smoke.
Mhm.
And so nothing but smoke at this point in time. And it was just like, I couldn't get the smoke out. Even opening up the like windows and all these things, I couldn't get the smoke out. So that was
So
like
what happened with these covers that you used to put out the flame?
well, the covers were either left there. I remember getting some of the stuff and putting outside in the trash can, which I even showed the people when they got there that I put in the trash can.
Do you guys have singular trash cans for each house there? Or do you have a dumpster or what?
Really, like it's a big trash. It's just a big brown trash.
One of the wheel ones you wheel
Yeah,
out and put by the curb? Okay.
Yeah, it was just one of those. It was no one was like whatever, but we did want Albert. So like come home, not necessarily come home and meet for that, but we maybe like had updated a little bit to Albert because we were like thinking, like sad and whatever. Like whatever. So in my message to Albert probably was a little bit like a little more over exaggeration. Just because I was
When you say we, did you talk with the kids about let's get Albert home?
No. We did sit down, and because when I was asking him like, was this, did you do this on accident? Was this an accident? Whatever. And so we were just talking about, like the whole thing. Everybody was in one room. We were all in the bedroom at the time, which was our bedroom upstairs.
Okay.
So we were all in the bedroom upstairs and talking, and, whatever. And I said, I got to let your daddy know. And I was not going to tell him. That was the original thing. I was not to tell him. It was just to fix it and not tell him.
Mhm.
Because then I was like, if I just do that, then we don't have to worry about it.
Right.
But then that was just enough. Like, oh, maybe Albert would be like, oh, it was hard, like, you know, always, all of us was there, going through all these memories and doing all these things without him, you know, like being there,
No, I
whatever.
get it.
So that was
So
the hardest
did
part.
Gannon agree that was a good idea to kind of play it up a little bit?
Did he agree?
Yeah.
We all were in like an agreement. So
So how did you play it up? Was the fire really not that big and you made it like it was a big deal? Or
well, so whenever
just
we
to get Al to say, hey, maybe I should get back home?
when we were explaining it to people in general, like that was our whole like, oh my god, whatever. Because like, oh, you saw that like if the people that we messaged, we made it more of like a situation, like than what it really was.
Yeah, because I couldn't understand how a candle could make a big fire, because my wife lights candles
Yeah.
all the time around the house, and if we knocked them over, and if you knock it over, kind of nothing happens.
Yeah,
I mean, it might singe the carpet a little bit. But
yeah.
I've seen the pictures, and I'm surprised that, you know, that much of the carpet was burned.
Well, it was probably because I mean I don't know, but I know that we did go like push down on the carpet and it was cover, which was the cover was wrapped up on him.
Right.
So I mean I don't know, like
That's what I was just curious about, the burn itself on the carpet, because that
Yeah.
looks awfully big for a candle.
I
just
didn't
to
even
be-
think that was even big. Was that
Well,
really big?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Uh-huh.
that big for a candle, because like I said, my wife, we look like a church sometimes with all the candles she lights.
Yeah,
We have dogs running around with kids.
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. No, it
So I
was.
was just surprised a candle could make, you know, a big black thing in the carpet that much, that it might have been held there for a little while.
Yeah.
Maybe he
Mhm.
tried to set. the
Yeah, I
carpet
don't
on fire
know
or
about. But see, the thing is, I don't know that Gannon would try to like purposely, like set something on fire. I don't know. I know that he did tell me later that he thought that I was coming downstairs, and he was playing this game. So I
So
don't
he
know.
was playing his game when he knocked the candle over?
Yeah, so he did tell us. He told me and Lena and all of us that when we were all talking together. He thought I was coming downstairs, like to catch him on his game.
Oh, that's why he knocked it over.
I
He
don't
was
know.
trying to
I
get
don't.
off it.
I don't know if he accidentally or thought, you know, whatever. I just know he said that he thought.
But did he take any responsibility for knocking the candle over, or did it just say it happened, or what?
No, he did say that.
Okay.
He did say that he had done it, that he had started it, or whatever. And I asked. That's why I kept asking him, like, did you do it on purpose,
That's what I'm curious about.
or did you, you know, was it an accident? He told me an accident. He thought I was coming downstairs. So, and to me, sir, we could afford to buy another
Yeah, for sure.
sofa
Huh.
and another carpet. That's not a problem. Like, I mean, you're talking about like things that we had and nice things that we can afford to buy that. So that was not a point of contention, and Gannon very well would have known that.
So did it burn the sofa also?
I don't think it burned the sofa. I'm just saying, like, in general in the area, whether if it would have burned sofa, TV, all that.
Right. Did he light the candle?
We could
Or
afford
who
to
lit
do
that
it.
candle? Do you know?
The candle was, he had already lit the candle because the dogs were, and so he had already lit the candle, which we
Does he
allowed.
normally do that?
Yeah, we allowed him to he could light the candle if he wanted to. He was allowed to open like packages that came. That's where I was funny. Albert taught him how to use like the box cutter and stuff like that. He was allowed to do those type of things. As long as, you know, he was usually within reason, like, okay, I'm not going to go like, you know, like, or
Mhm.
something like that. When I was little too, like I did the same thing about curious about matches. But we had already given him enough of, you know, like safety talks about, like Albert, when he talked to him about using the box cutters and knives, he always showed him the right direction, you know, not to just go like, you know, cutting up the boxes and stuff. So he had already had these, you know, talks about the correct way to do
Right.
these things.
Well, it explains those two. So I've got the bath salts, the candle, and now the foot injured in the garage. Tell me about that.
The foot
Oh,
injury.
sorry, before I go there, so we don't forget, you said peeling these later.
I just remember that on Monday his arm had a little bit of peeling to it. And that's when I said in my mind, and like I told the earlier here, that I did at that point say, I probably should like think about if I need to if later on after I put stuff on it, I need to think about if it gets worse, you know, monitor the situation, you know, like those type of things.
Did you put stuff on it or no?
Well, we had took that green stuff and we had took and put the dog had just had get bit before, so already had that little wrap stuff.
Okay.
And so we had already done that in that situation.
Did you put it on
No.
both arms?
I think it was the right arm.
And then when did you do that? Was that Sunday night, Monday morning, both?
I think it was Sunday night. No, actually it wasn't. It was through the night because we stayed up late. So it would have already been Monday morning hours, like into Monday morning.
So why were you guys up late?
Because we couldn't breathe. The smell was so like it's like stuck in the house from the smoke. We couldn't breathe. No matter what we did.
So where did you guys hang out until you could breathe?
We slept in our room and then we opened all the windows downstairs.
Okay. And all 4 of you slept in?
So Lena, Harley, me, and him were in the room for a while. Then Gannon went to, yeah. So then Gannon went to Lena's room for a while, but then he was in his room by the time he woke up. So I don't know if he got open.
What time do you think you went to Lena's room? Was it after midnight?
Or I don't know.
When did you call him in sick? It was pretty early in the morning.
Well, what happened is all I did was I called and asked about his stomach. It was nothing to do with anything to do with the fire. My question was, I'd already given him Miralax, which was like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
so we had a prescription over the counter. I say, whatever, or whatever. And I'd already given him that. And so then I also had X-Lax. And I thought, you know, at what point can I not? Like, how much is enough? If I can't get him to pass this, at what point is there enough, or can I go ahead and do it like an enema? Albert can tell you, I've given him an enema before, and like things like that, because it gets so bad and they're just so big and they get clogged up. So that was the concern about how to get him to pass.
Mm-hmm.
Because like for me, I have to I can drink 10 scoops of Miralax. And
Won't affect you
it
like
won't affect me at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I didn't want it to be where it was. The combination is different in my stomach because, like I said, if I take 10 of them, I'm okay.
So he's having the squirts and he started having those in the hike, but he couldn't pass that whole evening. Is that right?
Right. He would get out, but like couldn't get like the whole thing out. And that was sometimes if he finally, and then when he finally
It had
gets
to be painful,
one out.
wouldn't it? Or,
For me, I lay in the bathroom and I'm in pain.
Yeah.
Like whenever.
was he telling you he was in pain?
Well, he sits on the toilet. His common thing is that he'll sit on the toilet and just sit there and sit there and sit there. So as long as he's got something to focus with, again, his pain tolerance is very high when it comes to just sitting there.
She is driving me absolutely batshit crazy. How come she hasn't talked? Well, maybe she will.
Yeah, I'll
Talk
sit on
about
the
those
bathroom. We got
burns.
ICKEDMEL, but he came out and ICKEDMEL.
Yeah, yeah. Maxie, I'm so mad. I need to prick. I need to pick your brain.
I never go to Carson, but we got 2 sitting rooms.
I'm in that Glen.
So he ate.
That's so funny. Maxie gets the big
Still hadn't
switch.
passed.
Well, if he ate, he had done something. He had already used it because he wouldn't have eaten.
And had you given the Miralax before the meal then?
I had already given him Miralax throughout the week. We always had this thing.
This woman is not helping my freaking headache. Oh my God. Like I said, you almost want to climb through the screen and like go, what the hell are you saying, woman?
Mix him up one of the drinks.
So much bullshit.
Well, he didn't like juices as much unless it was like.
And the thing is she boxes herself because there's no way you can remember all these little details like that comes out of her yap.
The problem is,
and they're so different from the next story she comes up with. It's like,
for a day, like he didn't take it on Saturday.
why are we talking about
family was in town?
Mira, whatever they're talking about? Why are we talking about that? Where the hell is Gannon?
That's when it starts happening. Constipation.
Oh my God.
So like, let's say if he would have took it Saturday, and let's say he would have took it Sunday, he wouldn't have been as bad.
I can't
Right.
believe how
Problem is,
good they are.
Albert always
She
said the
probably
same time, like,
caused my
"I'd rather
headache. You're
do
right,
this
Maxie.
because instead of having them,
Oh my
zoned out,
God.
I mean, zoned out.
Yeah.
That was fun.
The bygones stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like the thing was, if we go somewhere and require
Oh my
them to have,
word.
like,
This woman. Oh my word.
things,
Oh
then
my word.
you know, that we don't want him to be under that finance and just have to be on his own.
Mhm.
We want him to be, especially like on the hike.
So
I want
all
him
of
to be able to run around and everything. 'Cause
Oh
know
my
we're always
God,
on top of
Maxie,
top of
right?
If we would hike, we were always on top of heights. We were always the ones.
Oh my
doing
God.
everything.
So was he bleeding that night? Do you know?
She really does. Like, she
Roughly.
makes my blood
From-
boil listening to all of her
Um,
bullshit.
So what happens is from him squeezing.
Like, how in God's green earth do you behave like this after doing what she allegedly did?
So, like from him squeezing and stuff like that, his was the same thing.
Oh
as
my
like the-
goodness.
So
Everything
it's
again,
100% alike.
disclaimer,
It's because it was like,
everything on the channel,
gosh, you know,
we're not professionals. We're just
from
speculating.
squeezing
And the reason we're
Yeah.
and stuff like
speculating
that, and that
is this
was, like,
woman is
So it wasn't a
freaking
cookie,
demon.
no.
yeah,
I
so-
do. Like,
Wasn't
I want to
struggling
see
about all night, or that evening or
Lori
today.
Vallow
You don't know
sitting
when he
there
eventually
with
felt
her
good.
having a chat.
how it works is he might feel good.
Oh my God.
he might
And
get
I'll bet you she would be
where
3
I don't
light.
feel until he gets the call out. It's not until he returns like 100% of being like,
Oh.
I'm back to being-
Did he get back to doing that?
Oh, dandy.
Yeah.
yeah. So
That's a great idea.
he was fine.
Okay, I think I can do something. Let me see.
Extra time.
Can
Right.
somebody just do to where my brain's at
Yeah, but I
today?
thought-
I'm gonna
wasn't he
try to do
struggling just
this.
After the candle incident.
Right. Because,
And,
what happens is, I mean, he
let's
wants to
see,
call
can
him a
I-
GI person,
where
but
is
he
it?
gets where he's okay, and then a little bit more, okay, and a little bit more. They happen every once a month.
Where is
where he goes through those
it?
episodes of his stomach and mind those same things.
So when you guys were up in the bedroom, how
I
was he?
wonder. Let's try
You
this.
mean
Where am I?
like after
After the flame and fire and smoke? And,
he was upset and like crying because he thought he was going to lose his switch like for a long time. Like he thought, you know, like his thing was, I don't care, we'll just do whatever. I knew whatever. I would rather be quicker to cover up
Mhm.
because we just related on the same page more so than Lane, because Lane wasn't sure, you know, whatever. Talking, like,
Okay, I don't think I know how to do it
Right.
so I'd be learning
right now.
Don't tell anybody, we'll fix it. And so that was kind of like our
So what do you guys think? That's just awesome.
what we were talking
I'm just trying to
about.
see.
Yeah, he was upset, like very, you know, like upset and hurt.
I think this is a great idea. Like,
So how late do you think he stayed up with you in the room? Until
I'm
he
trying to
found out? Was it
find
past midnight or do you know?
I don't know.
where I
At this
When he
point,
left
yeah,
you
get.
at this point. So whenever he went to Lena's room,
Mm,
I think he went down.
my
No, we all.
what is it called?
all four of us
Sorry
took that
guys. Jesus
and
Lord
then
Murphy.
But at one point in time,
My
we-
poles. Like, where do I get my?
And I feel like at one point Harley was sleeping on the sofa, and then Harley and
Because I
Lena
should
switched.
be able to do a
Because we were all-
pole.
like I said, we couldn't breathe. It was very smoky. So we were all.
Damn.
When Lena went to school, I'm pretty sure she probably went to school. Like it's all.
Yeah, poles. Like, where do I take?
So Lena was real sleepy, but she went to school.
Yeah, like what I'm saying is when she.
Oh
she
my
woke up, she probably was,
God.
like really like felt like she could have used a couple more
Engage with
hours.
audience.
So why did you call?
Start a
him
poll.
and not her?
Well,
Okay,
she
ask the
wasn't
question.
struggling with
Um,
problems.
So he still had him in the morning. then?
Right. So he
Well,
wasn't. I even had messaged Albert this
Letecia,
night and said, "Hey, I asked him.
take
Mhm.
Like, I asked him, is it okay if
yes
he
or no?
And so that was,
Ask my community.
but he didn't respond because he was on a different time zone.
So you called in sick though too for your.
This is what I wanted to do.
Judge, that's at 1:26:58, which was where I intended to stop, and this is probably a good time for lunch.
Yes, it is. All right. Mr. Grucy, you can go ahead and step down. Ladies and
Okay,
gentlemen,
sorry.
we will take our noon recess. If I can have everyone back in the jury room a little bit before 1:30, we would be able to start on time.
Okay, did
at
that come on
point.
there? Okay.
Again, don't discuss the case among yourselves. Don't discuss the case with anyone else. Don't do your own research about any aspect of this case. With that, we'll see you at 1:30. Have a good lunch. All rise for the jury, please.
It didn't come through. We'll just wait here and see if the lawyers talk right after. And, oh, there it is. Okay, it's up there. So you guys see the poll okay? Did it come through?
Thank you. May all be seated. Record should reflect the jury has left the courtroom. Is there anything? in the
Okay,
record
you
that
guys
might
can
affect
see
the
it.
purpose of the
Okay,
point in time prosecution?
nice.
All right.
Thank you,
We're in recess.
Dandy.
Thank you.
All rise.
Okay, they finished up. Okay, well, let's see. What do I do with this? Being the stream's just about over. Maybe I have to do it again in the next, like in the afternoon stream. Damn. Because I think when I end the broadcast, then that's done. So I will I'll try and set it up for the next one. And did anybody catch when we're supposed to get back? I was looking for that poll. What time is it now? 12:05. Did he go for 1:30 again, guys? Help me, help me. Don't leave me. Pexie, Dandy. Anybody still there? Me too. I might just have to go back and see what was going on. Okay. I'll check it out. So I will check it out and then yeah, just make sure that your thing is on and the bell for notifications and we'll go from there. Okay, guys. Well, thank you very much for being here. I'll see you in a few. Bye.